Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Abandoned by Girls and Becomes John Cena movie. Before we start, please go support Guerrero Legends for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei is abandoned by the girls who once swore love to him, but in the end they ended up changing him for other boys, leaving him alone. But he decides to restart his old life by retiring from Quit to once again become the superstar that inspires others. Chapter 1: The Abandonment. It's been about 5 months since Loki's defeat, and during that time things were going well at first, but after 2 months the girls of a certain brown-haired boy would start to move away from him. But Issei would think it would be because of things from the underworld, but as the days went by they distanced themselves more and more, which made the brown-haired boy feel very alone and in no mood to do anything. Issei, lately the girls have been distancing themselves from me more. Don't you believe it, Drake? Drake, that's right, mate, I have a bad feeling about this, to be honest. Issei, same here, Drake, but well, I think it would be better to leave that pending and prepare to go to the academy. Drake, okay, buddy, I'm going to sleep in the meantime. Issei, well, Drake, we'll talk later. Saying that, he began to prepare to go to the academy, and when he was ready he went down the stairs. When he got to the living room he didn't see anyone, but he didn't give it much importance since ever since the girls started to distance themselves from him they were hardly ever at home and his parents were away. He went to the kitchen and served himself some cereal for breakfast, and then went to the academy. On the way, Issei would be thinking about the reasons why his girls were leaving him alone until the idea came to him that he had done something wrong, and that was why they would be distancing themselves from him, so that he would realize it. Issei, I think it would be better if I went to the club when classes end. In the meantime, make the most of it. He said this while slapping himself in the face and entering the academy. Classes would go on normally, but Issei had noticed that a certain blonde-haired nun and a certain blue-haired girl had not been shown up for class, which seemed very strange to him since they never missed classes. When classes ended, he prepared to go to the occult club, but what he didn't know was that he would discover something that would leave him devastated. Issei, well, I'm going to go in and talk seriously with them to find out what's going on. But before he could even grab the knob, he would hear something that would completely break his heart, as he would hear the girls talking about the dates they had with their new boyfriends. Rias, wow, Hector is incredible, he takes me to luxurious places and treats me like a princess. Aquino, now President, it's not fair that you alone are left with Hector Quinn. Asia, well, my boyfriend has made me very happy by taking me to many fun places. Kaneko, Juan-senpai takes me to many sweet shops and I like how he treats me, she said with a slight smile. Zenobia and Irena, well, ours always treats us like queens and buys us everything we want. Ravel, Jack is amazing because he dedicates songs and poems to me. Ross, well, mine, despite being a little younger than me, knows how to treat me and has even asked me to marry him. He said it with great happiness in his words. Kuroka, me too, he said it under the same conditions as Ross. All congratulations. And tell me, have you accepted yet? They said with a smile. Ross and Kuroka, of course. Those words were the last straw, as Issei couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the club heading into the forest. Once he was deep in the forest he screamed with all his might while clenching his fists, and blood began to flow out. Issei, why is this happening to me? Why is it only to me? I have shouted as many tears came out. Drake, I'm so sorry, buddy, he said it with great sadness in his words. Issei, in the end they were nothing more than words, the love they swore to me were just simple words. Drake, don't be like that, mate. Issei, you're right, Drake, I shouldn't get like this for some women who never loved me and only used me. Drake, I'm actually surprised you weren't affected by the Dragonfall. Issei, and what is that supposed to be? Drake, Dragonfall is when a dragon slowly dies due to its partner's disappointment. Issei, I see. Drake, but I'm surprised it didn't affect you. Issei, if you say so, Drake. Drake, and now what are we going to do, partner? Issei, I think it would be better if I restart my old life, starting with leaving this country. Drake, what do you mean by old life? Issei, you see, Drake, I was never what you see now. Drake, what do you mean, mate? Issei, I used to be a wrestling superstar. I faced guys much better than me. But I always gave my all to keep fighting, even though I couldn't take it anymore. I always got up and fought until the end. Drake, and did you have a special name when you were in that sport? Issei, actually my name is John Cena. Drake, and why did you decide to leave that sport? Issei, my parents had died and I decided to leave the sport of wrestling and move here to Kwa. That's how I met my adoptive parents, and why I changed my name. Drake, no wonder I found it strange how you applied very strange fighting holds when we fought against the white guy. Issei, so my real age is 25 years old? Drake, but you look very young. He said this, very impressed by his partner's age. Issei, I'm not a normal fighter, Drake. Drake, what do you mean, mate? Issei, I was one of the few fighters who were granted powers and abilities beyond imagination. Drake, you are indeed interesting, my friend. But your plan is for us to get out of here. How will we do it without being discovered? At that point, a voice very familiar to both friends would be heard. I can help you with that. Issei surprised. Azazel, what are you doing here? Azazel, I know what the occult club did to you and that's why I'm going to help you, and what else will I do as a thank you for saving our asses more than once? Issei, thank you, Aza. But he was interrupted by Azazel, who had stars in his eyes and made an excited chibi version of him. Azazel, I'll only do it if you show me your true appearance. That would make Issei sweat a drop while Drake had one of his paws on his head. Issei, it's clear that you're never going to change, Azazel, but I will, since I have nothing to hide from you. Saying that, a great white light lit up in the area that could even be seen in the city, drawing the attention of two certain clans who were ready to go to that place, as they also felt a great energy that rivaled all the leaders of the factions. Azazel had covered his eyes due to the intensity of that white light, but when it dissipated he was able to regain some of his sight, and what he saw shocked him, as it was Issei who had some very noticeable changes. His hair grew shorter, his muscles increased, and his eyes changed to a hazel color. Azazel, so this is the real you. Issei, don't be so surprised, my physical form has only changed, but I'm still me, well, more or less. Drake, this is incredible. Azazel, well, but we better leave that aside since we have visitors. Saying that, the occult club and the student council could be seen approaching, so without wasting time Azazel created a magic circle and teleported them to the airport, leaving both clans very bewildered since they didn't see anyone in the area. Azazel, well, young Issei 10, he said while handing him a plane ticket. Issei, thank you, Azazel. Azazel, by the way, I already took care of sending your things to an apartment I rented for you in West Newbury, Massachusetts, and also of taking the pawn of Rias pieces from you and leaving them in your room. Issei, thank you, Azazel-sensei. Azazel, well, Issei, you better go now or your plan will leave. I will take care of explaining what happened to your parents. Drake, goodbye, Azazel. Azazel, take care of yourselves, guys. Issei, this is not a goodbye, Azazel, but a see you soon. So Issei proceeded to leave the country, leaving Azazel looking at the sky with a smile, while the Gremry girls were in the club, but they all felt a pang in their hearts and shed a tear. Chapter 2, Returning to Japan. It's been 5 years since Issei's disappearance, and since then things have never been the same again. 2 weeks after his disappearance, all factions except the fallen angels were looking for him all over Japan and also trying to discover the reason, until 2 months had passed since his disappearance, when they discovered the reason for his disappearance and decided to communicate it to Xerxes and his parents. 2 months after Issei's disappearance, the Citri and Phoenix clans, not counting Ravel, Kiba, Gasper, Graphia, Milikas, Braquiel, Vela, Lucifer, the Maus of Iframundo, the leaders of the 3 factions, Rias's parents, Odin and Yasaka, along with their daughter Kunu, could be seen in a room talking about a certain brown-haired boy. Odin, they already found some clue about the boy. Xerxes, we haven't found anything. And you, Michael, have you found anything? Michael, it's nothing like the earth swallowed him up. But what about you, Azazel? Azazel, I don't have the slightest idea where he is. He said this lying since he had promised not to say anything along with Razor and Vala, who had found out. Venelana, where will my dear stepson be? She said this with a few small tears falling from her eyes. Zeoticus, Venelana remembers that he hasn't married our daughter yet, so we can't call him stepson yet. Sona, speaking of Rias, where is she? Searches, he said he had something important to do. Yasaka, and what is so important about finding Issei? She said somewhat angrily. Searches, I don't know, but she doesn't know yet. Venelana, and why haven't you told him? Searches, lately she hasn't been coming to Hell, and when I go to Earth I hardly see her. But then a guard from the Gremry family would enter with a very sad face. Sarah Fall, what happened? Guard, we already know the cause of Issei's disappearance. Kunu, and what is it? The guard didn't say anything and just threw some photos in the center of the table showing each of the Gremry girls with their respective boyfriends. Those images provoked different reactions in those present. On the part of the Gremry family there was disappointment for what their daughter/sister/Anne had done. On the part of the Citri clan there was also disappointment, but Sona and Sarah Fall were very angry since they had feelings for Issei, Yasaka and Kunu, not to mention they even wanted to gut the Gremry girls. The others just looked at the photos with contempt since they never thought that the girls who supposedly loved Issei would abandon him for other men. Searches, now I understand why he decided to disappear. Rias's parents, daughter, you have disappointed the Gremry family. Milikas, I can't believe my aunt's entourage did that to Issei-san. He said it while crying and being hugged by Kunu, who also said the same thing. Odin, she doesn't deserve to be the heir of the Gremry clan. Braquiel, I never thought you were capable of doing this, daughter. Searches, I will talk seriously with her. Michael, God please bless those demons. Somewhere in my head hurts, was the complaint of all the Gremry girls as they held their heads. Back in the underworld, good job, Michael Lowe said to smiling Azazel as he hugged Michael. Kunu, and now what are we going to do? She asked while many tears came out of her eyes. Yasaka, don't worry, daughter, we will continue searching until we find him. Sona, you're right, we mustn't give up. Sarah Fall, we have to find Issei-kun. Searches, well, with this I conclude today's meeting. I hope to see results very soon. So everyone went to their respective homes to continue their search except for Azazel, Vala and Razor, who already knew where the brown-haired boy was. While in Qua City, the Gremry girls were walking around a supermarket buying lots of clothes since they were going to have dates with their boyfriends. After finishing their shopping they decided to go to the club where their boyfriends were supposed to be. Rias, wow, I've been having a great time with my boyfriend. Aquino, remember that you are also my boyfriend, President. Asia, in itself we all haven't had a very good time, right girls? All yes. When they arrived at the club they heard some very strange noises and moans coming from the living room. So determined somewhat they opened the door, and what they saw would break their hearts since they were their boyfriends having sex with classmates. They couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the club heading to Issei's house. When they arrived they just sat in the living room while they started to cry. Rias, I can't believe they did that to us. Kaneko, senior liars. Kuroka, Chiron, calm down, she said it while hugging her sister. Aquino, we were just a hobby for them. Asia, President, she said it while wiping away her tears. Rias, what's wrong, Asia? She said it still crying. Asia, we still have Issei, Sanlo said while putting on a smile. Zenobia, she's right, wiping away her tears. Irina, he would never abandon us. Rias, that's right, I'll go talk to him, and I'll make something up so he doesn't suspect our absence. Saying that, Rias went up to Issei's room and opened the door but was surprised to see a lot of dust and did not see the brunette, but she did notice that on a table there was a bag and a letter under it. Rias took the letter and proceeded to read it. Rias Gremry. Through this letter I resign from your clan and cut all lines that have tied me to the supernatural world. I know that they have been deceiving me all this time that I was alone, and if you barely found this letter after a few months of my disappearance I would not be surprised. I will only tell you that I went far away from the country to re-establish my life and that there may not be a chance that I will return to Kwa, and if I do it I will only be to see those who are truly interested in me, well if nothing else to say. I say goodbye to you as I do to the others. ATT, Huda Issei. Rias, after finishing reading the letter, checked what was in her pocket, and saw that it was Issei's 8 pawn pieces, so she began to cry and dropped the bag, letting the pawn pieces fall. Everyone else, upon hearing that, went to Issei's room, finding a crying Rias while there were some pawn pieces on the floor. Aquino, what's wrong, Rias? Rias didn't say anything to her, and just handed her the letter, so Aquino began to read it out loud so that everyone could hear, and when she finished reading it, you could see that everyone was crying as they got on their knees. After that event, 5 years passed in which all the factions searched incessantly for Issei, but the ones who searched for him the most were the Gremry girls who wanted Issei to return with them. Searches, upon reading the letter that her sister gave her, notified the others and they expanded the search as far as they could. Current day, on the outskirts of Kyoto you could see a man with short hair, hazel eyes, big muscles, a black t-shirt that said "You can't see me," blue shorts, white tennis shoes and a handkerchief in one of his back pockets that said, "Never give up." "It's good to be back, don't you think, Drake?" Saying that, a small red dragon poked its head out of the suitcase the subject was holding. "Drake, it's good to be back, mate. And all because this is where the event will be held, where it will be decided who will face the current WWE champion. Drake, the path that will decide who will be the opponent of the champion Issei." The subject already identified as Issei would only raise his hands and shout loudly. Issei, Royal Rumble. Yes, friends, the Royal Rumble event will be held in the city of Kyoto where the challenger to the current WWE champion The Rock will be decided. Chapter 3, The Reunion. Our protagonist was walking through the streets of Kyoto with a big smile on his face, which a little dragon would notice and stick his head out of the backpack he was carrying to talk. "Drake, you look very excited, mate." "Issei, the Royal Rumble is going to start in a couple of days and I really want to participate." "Drake, well, the truth is I want to see who the other 29 fighters will be that will appear in the Battle Royal." "Issei, the truth is that I do too, but I'm sure Roman, Randy, Dean and Big Show will participate." "Drake, those are the safest." "Issei, well, what do you think if we go see Yasaka and Kunu? It's been a long time since I saw them." "Drake, go ahead, and also it serves to place something." Thus both companions would go to the kingdom of the yokais to see old friends. Meanwhile in the yokai realm, Yasaka and a 17-year-old Kunu could be seen eating while thinking about a certain brown-haired girl. "Kunu, Mom, when do you think Issei-san will appear? He said something sad since he hasn't seen him in 5 years." "Yasaka, very soon, daughter," she said it with a fake smile. "Kunu, you always say that and it hasn't happened. I want to see you again," she said this already starting to cry. "Yasaka, me too, daughter," she said this while hugging her daughter. But then one of the Yasaka guards would come in with a big smile. "Guard, my queen, princess, I have news for you." "Yasaka, what's wrong?" she asked while wiping away her tears. "Guard, he's finally back." "Kunu, who?" "Guard, go see for yourself, it's in the main hall." That would make the two yokais a little confused, but they decided to go see what was going on. When they arrived they saw several yokais with a big smile, while others were crying with happiness. "Kunu, what's going on, mother?" she asked while going behind Yasaka. "Yasaka, I don't know." He couldn't finish when he saw a certain person he had been waiting for many years. "Kunu, what's wrong, mother?" Kunu asked, somewhat surprised. At that point she would stand in front of Yasaka and saw that she had many tears in her eyes while she put on a big smile of happiness. Kunu looked ahead to know what she had done her mother react that way, and when she did so she did the same, since in front of them was Issei with a smile, while he had a suitcase carrying on his back and a small dragon on his shoulder. Just imagine the suitcase already with Drake on his shoulder. "Kunu, Issei-san, is that you?" she said while crying more. Issei didn't say anything and just approached Yasaka and Kunu, giving them a big hug. "Yasaka, is that really you?" "Issei, that's right, Yasaka. I'm back." Both would only hug Issei tightly since they missed our brown-haired boy a lot. That scene was seen by all the yokais, who had a big smile since they had not seen their queen and princess smile for a long time. Yasaka, Issei, I want you to tell me where you were all this time. Kunu, and explain to us what you were doing. Issei just agreed and began to tell everything that happened since he was abandoned by the girls until he returned to Japan. Note: you guys can get rid of any ideas about what happened to him in WWE since I'm too lazy to put it. To say that Yasaka and Kunu were surprised was an understatement. They both couldn't believe that Issei was a superstar, and that he was now 30 years old. Yasaka, did you really do all that since you were away? She said, very impressed. Issei, that's right. Kunu, and your real age is 30 years old? She said it in the same way as her mother. Drake, I was also impressed, but after analyzing it carefully, it is true what he says. He said it while devouring his bowl of food. They both stared at Issei, trying to find a lie or something, but all they got was a big blush on their cheeks when they saw Issei's change. Kunu, I believe you, Issei-san. Yasaka, me too. Issei, I'm glad you believe in me, he said while getting up from his seat. Well, then I have to go now. Kunu, so soon? She asked while a few small tears ran down her face. Issei, I have to prepare for the event that's going to take place in a couple of days. Yasaka, which event? Issei handed him a pair of tickets that he said. Front row tickets to the Royal Rumble event. Yasaka, so you're going to participate in this event? Issei just nodded as he picked up his suitcase. Kunu, we will be there and support you, Issei-san. Issei, thanks Kunu, well then I'll see you in a couple of days. Both yokais nodded and gave him a kiss on the cheek each, making Issei blush and making Drake laugh. Mother and daughter, take care of yourself, dear. Issei, likewise Yasaka-san and Kunu-chan. He said he headed to his second destination to see the people who supported him and considered him as a son. Chapter 4, The Reunion Part 2. After Issei retired from the realm of the yokais, Yasaka and her daughter Kunu proceeded to prepare for the event that was going to take place in a couple of days, while the brown-haired boy was boarding a train heading to Kyoto to see his parents since he missed them a lot. Drake, I can tell you already want to see them, buddy. Issei, well, it's been 5 years since I last saw them, and even though they aren't my real parents, they always supported me. Drake, well, I'm going to take a nap. Wake me up as soon as we arrive. Saying that, he got into Issei's suitcase so he could get some sleep. Issei, you never change, lazy. Well, for now I'm going to listen to some music. Saying that, he grabbed his headphones and put on the song, The Diary of Jane. Time skip 2 hours. Later, several people could be seen gathered in a house while two brown-haired men looked at a photo of Issei with tears in their eyes. Michael, we are sorry, Mr. Hyudo. Searches. We have looked everywhere for him, but we have not found him. Odin, we are truly sorry. I never thought that the girls that my son once loved would do that kind of harm to him. She said this with tears in her eyes. P.I. Mr. Azazel, thank you for telling us what had happened the whole time we were gone. Azazel, it's nothing, it was the least I could do. Sona, and by the way, where is Rias and her entourage? Kiba, since Issei's parents kicked them out, they decided to stay in the club. Gasper, and they don't even come out to get some sun. Vala, these are the consequences for betraying the man who gave everything for us. Everyone present in the place was silent for a moment, until Razor spoke. Razor, hey, by the way, don't you think it's taking too long? Searches, who are you talking about? Razor. Valley, it's true, he should have been here half an hour ago. Michael, who are you talking about? At that point the doorbell would ring, confusing everyone as they didn't know who it was. Azazel, well, I'm here, he said as he stood up and went to open the door. Seraphal, for God's sake, who are you talking about? As she said that, her head started to hurt. Odin, hey, what's going on? He asked, pointing at Razor and Vala. Valley, nothing special. Razor, it's just that someone we know very well came to visit. Everyone had doubts about who that person was, but when Issei's parents saw Azazel enter the room, they saw that someone was coming behind him, and when they entered the room, everyone was shocked except Azazel, Razor, and Vala, who only had a smile. Issei, what's wrong? You two look like you've seen a ghost. Aren't you going to give me a hug? Issei's parents didn't say anything and just rushed towards him, hugging him and crying harder. Sona, Seraphal, and Gabriel cried when they saw their love interests back. The men only had a small smile when they saw their old friend back. After that touching moment, they began to ask Issei where he was and what he was doing for 5 years. To which Issei told them the same thing as Isaka and Kunu. Sona, so you used to be a superstar. But you decided to quit to have a normal life. Issei, that's right, Sona. Seraphal, and your real age is 30 years old? Issei, yes. Gabriel, and your real name is John Cena? Am I had already forgotten all about that. P.I., that was thanks to the family moments we had. Azazel, hey Issei, don't you have something for us? He said with a smile, as did Vala and Razor. Gasper, what is Azazel-sensei talking about? Issei, about this? He said this while showing 3 tickets for the Royal Rumble event. Kiba, and what are those tickets for? Vale, they are for the event that will decide who will face the WWE champion. Razor, Royal Rumble, shouted with great excitement. Spocky, and what about that Royal Rumble? Drake, it's an event in which 30 fighters enter a ring in a certain time, and the last one left in the ring will be the winner and will have the right to challenge the WWE champion in the biggest event of all time, he said while standing on Issei's head. Azazel, Vala, and Razor, WrestleMania, they screamed with clear emotion in their words as they raised their hands. Sona, and you only brought tickets for them? She asked with some anger that did not go unnoticed. Issei, of course not, I also brought some for you, he said, showing a large bunch of tickets, surprising everyone. So he proceeded to give out tickets to each of those present, except Xerxes gave him 4 so that the whole family could go, of course, except for a certain redhead. Kiba, hey Issei, what are we going to do with these tickets? He said, showing a strip of tickets. Issei, give them to whoever you want. Am I? Well, son, you must be tired, right? Issei, well, the trip was a bit hectic and I could use a break. P.I., then go rest, son, you have to show what you are capable of in that Royal Rumble. Issei didn't say anything and just went to his old room to rest. Everyone seeing him go up the stairs just smiled and then left Issei's house to get everything ready, but what they didn't know was that Kiba and Gasper were going to suffer. In the occult club, certain Gremry girls were seen in a room, all disheveled and showing signs of not having slept for a long time. Rias, and have you heard anything from Issei? She asked with a very broken voice. Aquino, we haven't found any clues as to where he might be. Rias, and you haven't found anything? She said, pointing at Kuroka and Kaneko. Kaneko, no, Madam President. Kuroka, it's like he disappeared off the face of the earth. Asia, where could Issei-san have gone? She said, starting to shed many tears. All the girls also started crying until they heard the club's door open, hearing Gasper and Kiba's voices. Zenobia, they must have found something, she said, wiping away her tears. Irina, we should ask them. So the girls were going to leave the room to talk to Kiba and Gasper, but before even opening the door they would hear something that would make them happy. Kiba, I really can't believe Issei came back. Gasper, and with a big change. By the way, do you think he can win that Royal Rumble? Kiba, of course he will win, if he has faced gods and monsters before. Gasper, you're right, for now we need to know what we're going to do with these tickets. Kiba, let's go to the park to see who wants these tickets for the event. Gasper, look, they're from the front row, he said, pointing to the bottom. Kiba, let's see, he said, taking one of the tickets and starting to read it. He sure thought of everything. Issei. Gasper, it seems that we will be able to see Issei fight in the front row, Gasper said with a smile. Saying that, the door to the girls' room opened and like lightning they knocked Kiba down to start interrogating him. Of course, they couldn't get any information out of him since they were suffocating him with the great weight they had on top of them. Rias, Kiba, did you see Issei? Aquino, if you saw it, we should know. Zenobia, And what is this royal rumble? Ross, come on, Issei, don't stay still. Gasper, well, maybe I could talk if they would get rid of me, he said, pointing to his face, which was blue and had spirals in his eyes. Kaneko, you must know something, Gasper-senpai. Ross, tell us where it is. Gasper, I'm sorry, but I'm forbidden to speak, he said it with great determination, but standing on the other side of the room. Rias, Gasper, if you don't tell us where Issei is, I myself will take care of spanking you, she said while making a magic circle in her hand. Ross, and not only that, I will also leave you several projects and exams, he said while taking out several documents. Gasper is just shaking at how dark they can get. Asia, President, look, he said, handing over the strip of tickets that Kiba had dropped when he was run over. Akino, era, so this is the event where Issei-kun is going to participate. Kuroka, if you don't mind, we'll keep this, she said, taking one of the tickets. Gasper just gave a sigh of defeat and sat down on one of the sofas while looking at Kiba on the floor. Gasper's thoughts, why wasn't it me? The girls just headed to their room with a smile, while thinking about the same thing. Girls' thoughts, very soon you will return to our side, Issei. So they proceeded to get ready to impress the brown-haired boy and thus be able to recover what they once lost due to their mistake. Chapter 5, Royal Rumble Part 1 begins. After the Gremry girls learned that Issei had returned to Kwa and had gotten the tickets for the event, they set out to try on different beautiful dresses, put on makeup to impress the brunette and make him come back with them. They even used magic to look like the same day they met Issei. So they would spend 2 days while the others who knew that Issei had returned set out to spread the rumor. In the dimensional gap, Vala's team was waiting for him to find out something about a certain brown-haired boy, but there were certain girls who were very sad about his disappearance, which were Ophis and Lefay, who were thinking about where their brown-haired boy could be until they were interrupted by Vala, who had appeared with a smile. Arthur, Vala, have you found it yet? Biko, we hope so, because the truth is I can't stand seeing Ophis and Lefay anymore. Valley, I was just smiling. Ophis, Vala, please tell us if you found it. Lefay, I can't stand being without the Vala anymore. Vala just added a little magic in the hand where he had the tickets, something that confused everyone until they saw Valley open his hand seeing some tickets for an event. Valley, with that we can see Issei. Everyone was shocked by what Vala said, but Ophis and Lefay were very happy since they could see their brown-haired boy once again. Vala, well, get ready because the event will be in 2 days. Everyone present agreed and the girls went to prepare more since they wanted to impress the brown-haired boy, so everyone who was invited to the event hurried with their homework, even Grafia, who wanted to see Issei and confess her feelings. So everyone spent their time until out of nowhere the 2 days passed, arriving at the time of the Rio battle. Kyoto City. A large group of supernatural beings could be seen alongside Issei's parents walking through the streets of Kyoto with a big smile as they could finally see their best friend, love interest, former stepson. Milikas, hurry up, we're going to be late. Yasaka, yes, let's go. Michael, don't be like that, ha ha ha. Azazel, learn from the girls, even though you already know that Issei returned, you are relaxed, he said while looking back. But then everyone noticed that the girls were not there, and there were only silhouettes of smoke, searching everywhere until they saw that they were in front of them walking quickly. Odin, hey, don't leave us behind. So everyone quickened their pace until they reached the center of the city where the event was going to take place. When they arrived, they saw Kiba and Gasper in a line with a thoughtful face. Tsubaki, Kiba-kun, Gasper-san. The two mentioned only got a big chill as they saw all of Issei's friends approaching with a smile. Kiba, ho ho, hello Tsubaki. Sona, is something wrong, Kiba? You seem a little worried. Kiba, it's nothing, he. But before anyone could say anything else, they saw the Gremry girls approaching them while wearing big smiles. Rias, brother, what are you doing here? She said with great shock. Xerxes, that's something I should ask. Akino, Xerxes-sama, we came to see Issei-kun. That greatly annoyed the girls who had been interested in him since the Gremry girls were the cause of his disappearance for 5 long years. Azazel, and how do they know he's here? Asia, because we heard Kiba and Gasper talking that Issei-san had returned. Everyone looked at Kiba and Gasper with a look that demanded blood plus the girls who wanted to kill them. Kiba, it will be a pleasure to fall with you, Gasper. Gasper, same here, Kiba-senpai. Zeoticus, excuse me, daughter, but you must have heard correctly. He said this to make his daughter leave? Venilana, that's right, daughter, maybe you heard wrong. Rias, and if we hear badly, what are they doing here? Michael, well, Yasaka promised that she would take us to eat at a delicious place. Kaneko, why didn't he invite us? Yasaka, don't you think I've forgotten what you did to Issei Dano? That made the girls lower their heads in sadness since they, due to their stupidity, hurt the only man who truly loved them. The Gremry girls were about to leave until they saw a sign come down on a building that said, "You can't see me." And there was an image of John Cena. At that, everyone cursed their luck while receiving accusatory glances from the Gremry girls while emanating an aura that made those present feel very scared. Zenobia, so you didn't know anything about Issei, she said it as she began to draw her sword just like Irina. Kaneko, they are liars, she said, cracking her knuckles while her sister took out her claws. Rias, brother, why are you lying to me? She said this while bringing out her aura of destruction. Akino, Era, it seems that I'm going to listen to some good music, she said while taking out her electric aura. Ross, Odin will pay for lying, he said, taking out his sword. Asia, they are liars. Ravel, I never thought you would lie to me like this. Razor, and also bring one of your pieces instead of bringing me. Razor, what are you talking about, Ravel, if I haven't brought anyone? At that, Ravel points back as everyone looks at Xiaolan, who was looking at John's image while having a big blush on her cheeks. Xiaolan's thoughts. He's much more handsome than the last time I saw him in the fight he had against Razor. But she would be taken out of her thoughts by Razor, who was yelling at her to listen to him. Razor, Xiaolan, what are you doing here? Xiaolan, well, I came to see the fight that Issei-san is going to have. He said it with a big smile, but it changes to a grimace of hatred when he sees the Gremry girls. And what are you doing here? Ravel, hey, why do you talk to me like that? Remember well that I am your king's sister, and you must also respect me. Razor, and I remind you that you are nobody to speak like that to my pieces, Razor said as he stood in front of his sister with a sour face. Rias, Razor, who do you think you are to talk to your sister like that? Razor, one of the people who was loyal to the great relationship that was made with Issei, better known as John Cena. Note, pum hitching your face. Rias just remained silent, since what Razor said was true, but they still weren't going to let them kick them out of the place, so they did the most strategic thing a person would do, running to the place where the event was going to take place. Sona, damn it, they're heading to where Issei is. Yasaka, well, we must not be left behind. Kunu, you're right, mother. Ophis, let's go quickly. Graphia, before it's too late. Xiaolan, then start running. Gabriel, I swear by my father that I will not let them get to Issei-kun. Lefei, well, start running, clown. Seraphal, well, move, I'm going to the front, she said while moving her hands so they could see her. All, don't leave us behind. So all of Issei's girlfriends started running as if it were a marathon, leaving Rias's parents, Issei's parents, Xerxes, Michael, Azazel, Odin, Valley, Arthur, Biko and Milikas with a big drop of anime-style sweat, and they only thought one thing. It's going to be very difficult for him. They also proceeded to speed up their pace to catch up with them, and arrive on time before they were denied entry to the event. Chapter 6, Royal Rumble Part 2 begins. On the outskirts of a kind of coliseum were all the girls in love with Issei with somewhat agitated breathing as they were running to try to catch up with the Grammary, which was in vain since they managed to enter the coliseum where the event will take place. Graphia, damn, we couldn't catch up with them. Ophis, God take me. Gabriel, hey, don't talk about my father like that. Sona, well, I think it would be better if we wait for the others. Xiaolan, you're right so. She couldn't finish when she saw 3 of her clan kills a few meters away from them. Seraphal, what's wrong, Xiaolan? Xiaolan didn't say anything and just pointed at a certain spot, and the others looked where Xiaolan was pointing, seeing 3 of their companions. Graphia, yes, they are Isabella along with Linen and I. Yasaka, and not only that. Look who's with them. And when he said that, they looked closely at the girls and noticed that Penemu was also there, who had a beautiful smile on her face. Kunu, Cadre Penemu also came. LeFay, how about we go say hello? The girls acknowledged and approached the other four who hadn't noticed their presence. Seraphal, hello Penemu, she said it with a smile. Penemu, oh Seraphal, didn't know you were here and I saw the others came too. Sona, how have you been? Penemu, I've been very well. Gabriel, and why are you here? Penemu, well, I heard that Issei was going to be here and I disagreed with Isabella, and I and Lin to come see him. Xuelan, is that true, friends? She said it with a smile that caused terror. Isabella, that's right, friend, she said it with the same smile. The others just watched that with a drop of sweat anime style until they were taken out by the others who were arriving somewhat tired. Searches, until we finally arrived. Azazel, I want to go in now so I can sit down. Razor, huh? And what are you doing here? He asked, pointing at Isabella, and I and Lin. Lin, well, we came to see Issei-san. And I, that's right. Vale, well then let's go in before they leave us outside. They all agreed and proceeded to enter. While the Gremry, they were already in their places in the front row as they waited excitedly for Issei to appear. Aquino, I can't wait any longer, she said it with emotion. Rias, you're right Aquino. Kaneko, I want to see my Issei-senpai already, she said while grabbing a bag of candy. Asia and Ravel, Issei-san. Ross, I can't wait to see my dear student. Irina and Zenobia, to our dear little love. But a certain black-haired Nikomata just remained silent, waiting for Issei to pass by so she could talk to him, but her thoughts were interrupted by the Gremry girls who stared at the opposite side of where they were watching Issei's lovers along with Kiba, Gasper, Searches, their parents, Michael, Azazel, Vala and Razor. But then the lights would go out, and then the following would be shown on the screen. After that, the following would happen. Everyone was more than excited about what was going to happen, but Issei's loved ones along with the leaders, Issei's parents, Kiba, Gasper, Tsubaki and the Gremry girls were very impressed about how the final fight was going to be, but they were interrupted by a voice that said the following. Voice, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls of all ages, welcome to Rio Rumble. To start off this great event, we will begin with a one-fall match with no time limit for the United States Championship. Voice, introducing first the current United States champion, Rusev. Rusev would be entering the ring while waving his country's flag from one side to the other while the championship was carried by his wife. Upon entering the ring, he proceeded to give the flag to his wife and take the championship. Stop the music. A few seconds passed until another sound was heard, but this time from Rock. Voice, we now present the challenger, former WWE champion as well as heavyweight champion, Intercontinental Champion and also winner of last year's Battle Royal, The Rock Major Edge. Edge was walking around while high-fiving everyone, and as he passed Azazel's group he made the Viva El Rock sign with his fingers, to which Azazel did the same, and they high-fived before Edge got into the ring and challenged Rusev. Edge, I'm going to take that championship you have where it belongs, he said with a confident smile. Rusev, you are nothing against my insect. Stop the music. The referee rang the bell as a signal for the fight to begin. Rusev tried to grab Edge, but he reacted quickly and began to connect with right hands to the face, and then leaned on the ropes and hit him with a blow, stunning him a little. Edge grabbed him by the two arms, pulling them back while he drove his knee into his back, but Rusev used his strength to break free and hit him in the face, then kicked him in the stomach, grabbed him by the hair and began to knee him in the chest and finally threw him out of the ring. Azazel, you can, Edge. Razor, come on, get up. Commentator 1, this is incredible, we're barely starting the match and Rusev already has Edge on the ropes. Commentator 2, you're right, but you know very well that Edge somehow manages to get out of difficult situations. One example is Randy Orton, another is The Undertaker. Commentator 1, well, let's see how Edge gets out of this one. Rusev got out of the ring to continue torturing Edge, but the latter had managed to grab a bamboo sword and began to hit him with it, causing him to fall to the ground while he moved in pain. Edge kept hitting him with the bamboo sword until it broke. So he grabbed Rusev and put him back in the ring and then got in himself and kicked him in the face, making him step back. But Rusev supported himself with the ropes and gave Edge a strong blow in the face, who did the same, and they were like that for a moment until both tied a rope around their necks, both falling to the canvas. Commentator 2, this is incredible. Despite being on the ropes, Edge is causing problems for Rusev. Commentator 1, let's see how this ends. At that the whole crowd started shouting, "Come on, Edge! Edge up! Come on, Edge! Edge up!" At that point Edge and Rusev started to get up, but Rusev hit him in the cheek, which Edge returned with a machete blow to the chest, and they were like that for a few moments until Rusev kneed him in the stomach and then headbutted him, knocking him to the canvas. Rusev was going to apply his submission hold, but just before he was about to stomp on him, Edge moved, quickly placing himself in a corner, and just as Rusev turned around, Edge applied a spear to him and then covered him. "Referee, 1, 2, 3, the winner is gone," he said while raising Edge's hand. Everyone was applauding, so some were even booing. The referee gave him the United States Championship, and Edge raised it as if he had achieved what he promised. "Edge, yes, I said I brought it back home." So Edge was leaving the place with a big smile while he looked at the championship, and just before leaving he raised the championship while his back was turned, and that was how he left the place. Commentator 2, it's incredible how Edge managed to counterattack. Commentator 1, he achieved his goal, which was to recover the championship from Rusev. Commentator 2, but now let's go to the Intercontinental Championship. Commentator 1, he'll be there for the Cody Rouse, Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston fight. Let's see what happens. Voice, attention, the next match will be for the Intercontinental Championship, and it will be a fatal 3-corner fight. Voice, introducing WWE Intercontinental Championship winner and challenger Kofi Kingston. Kofi was running while greeting the public, and just before touching the ring he saw Milikas and Kuna, who were moving their heads to the rhythm of the song, so he approached them and gave 3 claps to the sky and then extended his palms as a sign for them to high-five, and that's what the children did while laughing with Kofi. Then he saw Azazel, Razor and Vala, who also decided to high-five them, but the difference is that they gave each other a brotherly hug. Then he saw Issei's lovers, who gave them a smile and whispered the following to them. Kofi, he was waiting for them. The girls blushed upon hearing that, causing laughter from those with them and great curiosity from the Gremry girls on the opposite side. Kofi, after whispering that to them, jumped to the edge of the ring. Stop the music. After a few seconds another song, well known to everyone, would play. Voice, now the second challenger is former member of the Shield group and also winner of the WWE Championship and Universal Championship, Seth Rollins. Seth was walking through the crowd while high-fiving everyone, and when he arrived he stared at Kofi while wearing a confident smile. Stop the music. Finally, the song of the last fighter and Intercontinental Champion would sound. Voice, and finally the Intercontinental Champion Cody Rouse. Cody was walking with a serious look because he already knew that this could not be taken lightly, and so the 3 of them looked at each other with faces that said, I will be the winner of this fight, and I will leave with the Intercontinental Championship in my arms. The Clash of Legends is approaching, as is the Battle Royale. Who will be the winner? Who will have the right to challenge any champion who comes out today? Chapter 7, Royal Rumble Part 3 begins. The 3 fighters were inside the ring while they stared at each other. The referee raised the Intercontinental Championship so that all the spectators could see what was at stake. Then he rang the bell so that the 3 fighters began to move while they analyzed their opponents. Azazel, let's go Kofi. Vala, we know you can win. Razor, show what you're made of. All of Azazel, Vala and Razor's companions as well as the Gremry girls were surprised to hear how they encouraged him. In the ring, the first to attack was Cody, who tried to do a spear to Seth but he dodged it, causing him to eat the corner and leave the ring. Kofi, pushing himself with the ropes, took flight to fall on top of Cody, and the same did Seth, but Kofi managed to get away, receiving Cody's attack. Kofi landed a punch in the face to Seth, who returned it with a slap, stunning Kofi, then grabbed him by the hand and then sent him crashing against the protection wall on the Gremry side, grabbed him by the hair, but Kofi reacted quickly, starting to give him left and right consecutive times until he kicked him in the neck. Commentator 1, it's incredible, man. We haven't even been here for 7 minutes, and they're already getting serious. Commentator 2, that's right. If the previous fight was good and this one is getting interesting, I can't even imagine what the others will be like. Commentator 1, a tank fight for the Universal Championship. Another 2 legends fights for the WWE Championship and the Heavyweight Championship. Commentator 2, and don't forget that we still have the Battle Royale. In the ring, Kofi had climbed into a corner while Seth was on the ground half unconscious, but just before taking off, Cody appears with a hitting chair Kofi in the head, interrupting his flight. Seth was going to attack from behind, but Cody also hits him in the head with the chair. Then he grabbed Kofi and took him down by force, crashing him back against the canvas, but Seth took advantage of that and did the pedigree, leaving him out of the fight. But before reacting, Kofi gave him a couple of kicks in the face, taking him out of the ring, putting himself next to Cody, who was reacting. Kofi pushed himself off the ropes to climb into a corner and do a somersault, landing on top of Cody and Seth. Kofi took Cody and put him in the ring to end the fight. Cody tried to hit Kofi, but he reacted quickly by dodging the hit and doing his submission key, winning the fight. Voice: Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Intercontinental Champion, Kofi Kingston. Kofi celebrated while holding the championship in his hands. He climbed onto a corner and raised the championship, but his smile disappeared when he saw the Grammy girls applauding him. But Kofi only did something that baffled them and made Azazel, Vala and Razor laugh a little, and it was the typical "you can't see me" hand gesture. Kofi only left the place while holding the championship in his hands. Commentator 1, it's incredible how Kofi won the Intercontinental Championship. Commentator 2, but why did he do that to those girls? Commentator 1, John Cena's "can't see me" thing? I honestly don't know, but we better get ready because a clash of tanks for the Universal Championship is coming. While in the dressing rooms, there were some women watching on the screen what Kofi had done. Girl 1, wow, so they were the ones who hurt John. Girl 2, I won't forgive them. Girl 3, they are going to suffer like never before. Girl 4, I'm going to make them pay for me, John. Girl 5, like you're crazy one. Girl 6, that's right, John is mine. The girls started arguing until the last one there called them out. Girl 7, I'm already aware that the next fight is going to begin. In the ring, all the spectators were waiting for the next fight until the voice spoke. Voice: Ladies and gentlemen, a great clash of powers is about to begin, and it will be for the WWE Universal Championship. A song would be heard while a muscular guy made his entrance, showing off that he was very strong. Voice: Introducing the first challenger to WWE Heavyweight Champion Bobby Lashley. The aforementioned was walking while high-fiving the public, and when he reached the ring he began to show off his muscles again. Stop the music. At that point another very heavy and wild song would be heard and a very large man would enter, wearing beastly clothes that made him look like a monster. Voice: Second challenger known very well as the Monster Among Men, causing destruction wherever Braun Strowman goes. The Monster Among Men just walked towards the ring, but when he passed between the Grammy girls and Azazel's company they felt a great chill at his presence. Stop the music. At that point, the last song would be heard, which was somewhat chilling, but everyone saw a man in black clothes and a red mask heading towards the ring, but his presence alone made the supernatural beings that were there tremble. Voice: And finally we introduce the current WWE Universal Champion, the Great Red Demon Kane. Kane was going to the ring but noticed that Braun Strowman was staring at two certain groups, which were the Grammy girls and Azazel's group. Kane did the same, and when he noticed their energy he gave a smile, scaring both groups. Kane proceeded to go up to the ring and hand his championship to the referee, who proceeded to get out of the ring somewhat hastily. The bell rang and both the champion and the challenger Bobby went against Braun Strowman, starting to grab him like a punching bag. Searches, if you noticed the look on those two's faces, he said, somewhat scared. Zeoticus, Pens, who was the only one. Graphia, it's like they know who we really are. Odin, but not only us, I also turned to see Rias and her entourage. Xiaolan, those two scare me. Sona, but the one who calls himself a monster among men didn't look at us in a bad way, just out of shock and curiosity. Isabella, the other, was the one who transmitted that feeling of hostility. And I and Lynn just hugged each other out of fear, just like Seraphol. Only she was pinched by Ophis Chibi to make her let go, and Gabriel was hugged by her brother to make her calm down, and let go of Penemu, who was suffocating her. In the ring, Braun had already freed himself from the attack of both and began to counterattack with several right hooks until Bobby grabbed him by the neck and pulled him over the third rope, and Kane kicked him in the face, throwing him back, but Kane connected a blow to the head, and then connected one to the throat, leaving him without air, and then pulled him over the third rope. Kane was going to take momentum, but Bobby surprised him with a spear, leaving him out of combat, but Braun took advantage of that to grab Bobby by the neck and do a claw, but then Kane gets up as if nothing happened and starts hitting Braun until he gets him out of the ring. Kane had taken a chair and started hitting him with it until Braun was knocked out. He was going to return to the ring, but Bobby surprises him with several blows, leaving Kane stunned. Bobby pulled him up to the ring, but just when he was going to get in, Kane grabs him and does the neck breaker, leaving him unconscious. Referee, 1, 2, 3, the winner is gone. Kane grabbed his championship, and the corners began to catch fire as Kane stared at Azazel's group, and an evil smile appeared on his face. Braun, who had already regained consciousness, noticed this and quickly, although a little weak, stood next to them, making Kane smile more. Commentator 1, it seems that there was someone who retained his title. Commentator 2, that's right, but Kane set his sights on that group, and I think Braun knows why he even stood next to them as a sign of wanting to protect them. Commentator 1, what could be so special about that group that Kane would be interested in them and that Braun would be worried? At that, Kane got out of the ring and quickly began to attack Braun with the championship until he was almost unconscious, but Kane had taken little Kuna by the neck, lifting her and bringing her close to his face. Azazel's group tried to do something, but with a simple blow Kane knocked them out of combat. Yasaka was very worried about her daughter, since she couldn't do anything until a song was heard that made Azazel, Vala and Razor very happy. Everyone was happy because Issei John Cena was going into action, but the Gremory girls, Penemu, Xiaolan, Ni, Lin, Isabella, LeFay and Ophis were very impressed and blushed at the drastic change of the Raven. Commentator 2, here comes John Cena. Commentator 1, and it seems that he is not happy about what is happening. Stop the music. John, standing in front of Kane, began to hit him quickly, causing him to release Kuna, who was quickly hugged by Braun. John kept hitting Kane non-stop until he even crashed into the metal steps. Kane tried to hit John, but he wouldn't let him respond until he grabbed him by the hand and threw him against the protective wall. John began to remove monitors from a table and then go for Kane, but Kane took the opportunity to grab him by the neck and tried to do the Infernal Claw, but Braun intervened by hitting him from behind, something that John took advantage of his most famous move, Attitude Adjustment, thus throwing Kane onto the table. Commentator 2, it's incredible. Commentator 1, first Kane attacks Braun Strowman with that group, then John Cena arrives to confront him. John stared at Braun while Braun also looked at him, only with some tiredness. John was going to say something until he felt someone hug him. Seeing that, Kuna had a few tears. Then the little yokai saw Braun Strowman and also hugged him, surprising everyone, but Braun without hesitation reciprocated the hug and both wrestlers proceeded to leave while Kuna left with her mother, who was happy that her daughter was okay. At that, John looks to the side, shocked that certain girls that he didn't want to see for the moment, they were in the front row watching him with shock and happiness. Braun, hey Cena, are you okay? John, if nothing happens. So both fighters left the place for the next fight to begin, in which it will be decided who will be the heavyweight champion. Chapter 8, Battle of Legends. It was about half an hour after the fight for the Universal Championship, and one thing became clear to the supernatural girls. Issei was no longer the same as before. Azazel, we're here. Vala, sorry for the delay. Razor, there were a lot of people lined up for the snack. And so they proceeded to pass around everything they bought. Michael was given a bottle of water, Xerxes a beer, as did Xioticus, Venelana an American sandwich with a bottle of water, as did Gafia. Issei's parents were given some popcorn with 2 sodas, Kiba and Gasper a large bag of chips. Milikas and Kuna some candy, and the girls some sodas and popcorn, while the 3 who went to compare things kept some nachos. With the Gremory, they had also gone to get some snacks, but the one who still had supplies was Kaneko, who took out her sweets from who knows where, and after 15 minutes the presenter spoke. Presenter, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for keeping you waiting so long. But tell me, are you having fun? I shout at the top of my lungs. All yes. Announcer, perfect, but you better hold on tight because now we're going to see a clash of legends. The King of Kings, the icon and the phenomenon in an extraordinary battle for the World Heavyweight Championship. Saying that, everyone in the place began to scream with excitement, and raising signs that Goldberg said, HHH, while he was surrounded by some skulls and the Undertaker, and then a very heavy song would be heard. Announcer, first introducing the current WWE Championship holder and former WWE Champion, Triple H. Triple H was riding a motorcycle, and when he reached the base of the ring he began to spin around, and on the 5th lap he stopped and got into the ring to start drinking a bottle of water and spitting it into the air while showing off his muscles. Stop the music. At that point another song would be heard that was quite familiar to those who were already older, and they would show the wrestlers' locker rooms, more specifically one that Goldberg said at the entrance. Announcer, Hall of Famer and an undisputed streak of 139 wins and not a single loss, the icon, Goldberg. Everyone watched as Goldberg made his way to the ring while all the workers who were there applauded him, while everyone in the ring also applauded him while saying the following. Goldberg, Goldberg, Goldberg. They said this while watching Goldberg in the area where the wrestlers entered and was bathed in fireworks, surprising everyone, even the supernatural beings who saw it. Sona, how can you stand that? She said while eating her popcorn. Gabriel, if you realize, his power is above a normal human. Penemu, you're right anyway, he said pointing at Triple H. Azazel, this fight is going to be good. Goldberg proceeded to walk to the ring while being watched by everyone, and once inside they stared at each other, and then looked at the entrance area since they knew that they could not trust their rival. Stop the music. After a few seconds I would hear a bell and the lights would go out, causing the entire audience to scream with excitement. Presenter, and finally we present the king of the creatures of the night. He was World Heavyweight Champion, winner of the Battle Royal 3 years ago, and also an undisputed streak of 19 wins and 0 losses in WrestleMania, The Undertaker. The Undertaker walked very slowly, making it known that he was very dangerous if they faced him, but Azazel's group and the Gremry group felt great terror when they felt the Undertaker's energy, since he could easily humiliate all the faction leaders. Azazel, damn, I still can't get used to feeling that enormous power. Valley, either do I, and I'm a dragon. Ophis, how is it that I, the great dragon of infinity, can feel so afraid in the presence of this subject? She said, trembling. What he said surprised everyone, even the Gremry girls who, thanks to being supernatural beings, were able to hear what he said. The Undertaker proceeded to get into the ring, but without first giving both groups a very cold look, giving them a great chill. Razor, I don't like the way he looks at us. Shuelon, I'm so scared. Isabella, X2. Thus they both proceeded to hug each other while Anai and Lin, Gabriel and Penemu, Sarah Fall and Sona, Grafia and Venelana, Ophis and Kuna did the same, who were hugged by Issei's mother and LaFay with Yasaka and Carlamine, while the men trembled as did the Gremry girls who felt they had to start making their wills. Stop the music. In the ring, the three legends stared at each other until the bell rang, and the first to attack was Triple H, who quickly went to the Undertaker, who only kicked him in the face. Then it was Goldberg who began to exchange blows with the pole that Triple H took them both out of the ring with a rope around his neck, but the Undertaker, who landed on his feet, pulled Triple H by the feet and slapped him that echoed throughout the Coliseum, and then sent him into the metal steps, but the Undertaker was grabbed by the hair and sent crashing into the protective wall by Goldberg, but he was surprised by Triple H, who hit him with one of the metal steps and did the same only with the Undertaker, that left him stunned. Then he let go of the step, but Goldberg hit him in the head and slammed him face first into the corner, and he kept repeating it about 7 times until he drew blood. Then he threw him against the protection wall, but the Undertaker took advantage to hit him in the back and then slammed him face first into the Portuguese broadcast table, but Triple H hit the Undertaker in the back with a chair and Goldberg in the head, drawing blood. Commentator 1, hey friend, this is not just any fight, this is a war of legends. Commentator 2, you're right, things are very intense, we don't even know who is most likely to win. In the match, Undertaker grabbed Triple H by the neck, causing him to drop the chair and then carrying him and slamming him against the Portuguese broadcast table, breaking it and knocking Triple H out. But Goldberg managed to surprise him by doing a spear to him and then covering him. Referee 1-2. He couldn't continue counting because the Undertaker got rid of him. Goldberg was surprised, but then Triple H attacked him from behind and then did the pedigree. Referee 1-2. But it didn't end as Goldberg got rid of him, but then he sees Undertaker and goes for him, but Undertaker got up as if nothing happened, scaring Triple H and causing all the spectators to scream with excitement. Undertaker quickly began to give him a combo of punches and then applied the neck breaker, but Goldberg reacted quickly and did the Goldberg drive. Note: I don't remember the name of Goldberg's other move, so I named it that. Referee 1-2-3. The winner is gone. Announcer: Ladies and gentlemen, here we have the new champion Goldberg. But before the title was given to him, a song that everyone without exception hated would play, surprising Xerxes, Venelana, Ziaticus, Graphia, Milikas, Michael, Gabriel, Ophis, Kunu, Penemu, Carlomine, Isabella, Shualan, Anai, Lin, Yasaka, LaFay, Issei's parents, and the Gremry girls. And then Brock Lesnar came out running to the ring with a chair. When he arrived, he started hitting Goldberg with the chair as he tried to stand up. Stop the music. Already having him almost unconscious, he made a signal with his hand indicating that someone should enter, and so it was. It was Paul Heyman, who had the Money in the Bank briefcase in his hand, but just before making the contract valid, a song would play that would make everyone happy that he had entered and would worry Valley, Razor and Azazel, being noticed by their group and the Gremry girls. Commentator 2, there comes Cena again. Commentator 1, but he comes armed with a baseball bat. Commentator 2, and not a normal one but the one with the barbed wire. John entered the ring and made Brock Lesnar get off on the other side. Stop the music. John Cena, let's go, let's go, let's go, damn you, the Gremry girls, Issei's lovers, his parents, the leaders of the yokai, Asgardian, demons, angels, Milikas and Kunifax were very impressed by Issei John Cena's behavior. They already saw that with Kane he was calmer, but now he was more than furious, but they saw that Azazel, Vala and Razor had the idea of what was happening. Brock Lesnar began to scream while destroying a table, then he grabbed a chair and proceeded to enter, but John stepped on the chair and hit Brock with the bat, causing him to writhe in pain, and he stayed like that for a while until he got tired and threw him out of the ring with his back covered in blood. Then he got down and grabbed a monitor and proceeded to smash it in his face, drawing a lot of blood, and then he slammed him against the metal steps. He was going to continue, but Puel intervened, telling him to stop, which he did without first hitting him, knocking him to the ground and drawing some blood. John Cena proceeded to get into the ring as he watched a battered Brock Lesnar being taken away, but in that he was brutally turned around by Goldberg, who stared at him, and John did the same, creating an intense atmosphere waiting to see what would happen. But Issei's lovers and the Gremry girls were very worried about what was going to happen, but what happened surprised everyone as Goldberg extended his hand in gratitude and respect. John, without thinking, also extended his hand in a shake, showing great respect for each other. Everyone applauded that as two great wrestlers showed each other great respect. John proceeded to take Goldberg away as he was too tired to walk, and so both wrestlers left while they waited to find out who would be the champion of the next fight for the WWE Championship. Chapter 9: Fight for the WWE Championship. After John Cena intervened in the contract that Brock Lesnar had planned to make, everything was being prepared for the next match that was going to happen. Announcer: Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next and final match before the Battle Royal, which will be for the WWE Championship. By saying that, a song would be heard that would bring some nostalgia to the entire audience. Announcer: Introducing first challenger, from Mexico, former heavyweight champion, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie was driving his car until he was about 2 meters from the ring. He got out of the car and started high-fiving all the spectators before finally getting into the ring and waiting for his opponents. Stop the music. After a few seconds, another song would be heard that would excite everyone. Announcer: Second challenger, Hall of Famer and known as a legend after defeating the Giant of Giants, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was walking by with a big smile on his face and was high-fiving the crowd and even taking pictures with them. When he got to the ring, He stared at Eddie and Eddie did the same. Stop the music. Then another song would be heard, causing most of the audience to stand up and raise signs that said, "The People's Champion." Announcer, we now introduce the current WWE Champion, as well as the People's Champion, The Rock. The aforementioned was passing by with a serious face since he knew that this was not to be taken lightly. As he got into the ring, he looked at Hulk Hogan and Eddie Guerrero and they did the same. Stop the music. The bell rang, making it clear that they would begin to fight. The Rock went against Hulk, causing him to start hitting him, causing him to back off, but Eddie surprised him from behind, giving him a strong blow with a mallet, but Hulk returned it with a kick to the face, causing him to back off, but The Rock did a spear to then take him out of the ring. But Eddie did the same and took some distance, and then proceeded to fly, falling on top of the other fighters, then grabbed Hulk by the hair and slammed him against the protection wall, causing the Gremmery to get up, but in that The Rock would do a spear, lifting Hulk Hogan and the protection wall, falling in front of the Gremmery. Eddie, somewhat stunned, got up and held The Rock, but the latter began to slap Eddie several times, but he couldn't do anything until he received one that made him back down. Hulk grabbed The Rock by the neck and threw him against some chairs, causing him to writhe in pain. Hulk was going to continue punishing The Rock, but Eddie would hit him with a chair, causing him to kneel. Commentator 1, you see, mate, we haven't even been here for 10 minutes and they're already hitting each other in the tower. Commentator 2, you're right, mate. In the fight, Eddie was hitting Hulk with the chair, but The Rock would grab him with his forearm and then lift him up and throw him to the ground and finally cover him. Referee 1-2. Eddie shook him off to avoid the 3 count. The Rock saw that Hulk Hogan was getting up, so The Rock hit him in the head, but Hulk stared at him and shook his head from side to side in disapproval. The Rock hit him again, but made Hulk go crazy as if trying to get The Rock to give him another one, and so he did. The Rock hit him again, but Hulk decided to respond with several punches to The Rock's face. Hulk kicked him, knocking him to the ground, then he jumped to do a leg machete strike, but Eddie took the opportunity to kick him in the stomach and do a suplex, but The Rock got up quickly and grabbed him with his forearm, lifted him up, threw him to the ground, and finally covered him again. Referee 1-2-3, the winner is gone. The Rock kept his championship. Now he just had to wait to find out who was going to challenge him for the WWE Championship, but he was already getting an idea of who his rival would be. While in the locker room, John Cena was watching a screen that showed The Rock coming out as the winner. He just smiled and left the place to prepare for the last fight. The Battle Royal. Chapter 10, The Royal Battle Part 1. Everyone was waiting for the main contest to begin since it was going to be the biggest royal battle of all, and the reason was because some legends were going to participate for the opportunity to face any champion. Azazel, hi, I'm so excited. Valley, the Battle Royal is about to begin. Razor, I hope Issei wins. Sona, but if he wins, what will happen? Azazel, well, he'll have the right to face any champion at the biggest event of all, he said while pointing at the WrestleMania sign. Gabriel, but why do they say they expect me to win? Valley, as you can see, there will be 30 participants, and the order is unknown. They may enter as first or last, but if they finish as first, they will be fighting for longer. Everyone understood Vala's explanation and just waited for Issei to win the last fight, just like the Gremmery who were able to hear. Presenter, dear audience, after several epic battles, we have reached the final contest, the RRREAO battle. All the spectators just screamed with excitement as they waited for the final fight. At that point the lights go out and reveal one of the most hated fighters by everyone. Elias. Hello everyone, I'm Elias and today I come to bring you a song about my victory in this contest. My name is Elias, the bravest and most skilled fighter of all. It would be better if you didn't come because I will take you off the platform as soon as you enter. I will be the winner of the Battle Royale and I will be the one who have you. Due to the twists of fate, he was unable to finish the match as another wrestler came out onto the platform also counting. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, hey my friend, don't sing, this company already has its musician. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, also tell me who do you think you are to sing like that? You're not the king who puts himself on top. You're just a useless bastard. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Stop the music. Artrut stood in front of Elias, who seemed to be showing great anger, but Artrut didn't seem to care, and instead gave him a mocking smile, provoking Elias even more. The bell rang and Elias quickly went to attack Artrut, but he just stretched his legs, dodging the blow. Then he turned around, giving him an elbow, and then grabbed him by the hair and eliminated him. Elias, what? Referee, I'm sorry, but you're already out. Elias, this is not fair. I wasn't ready. Referee 2, outside. Elias didn't say anything else, and just proceeded to leave reluctantly, since he found it very humiliating to be eliminated at the first attempt. Artrut waited for his next opponent, while he stood in a corner and stretched his arms. After a few minutes, the countdown began and the spectators began to count. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then a song that was somewhat familiar to many was heard. Seamus was walking while staring at Artrut, and he did the same, since they both knew what each other was capable of. Stop the music. So, Seamus entered the ring and began to grapple with Artrut until he kneed him in the stomach and then slapped him. That stunned Artrut, but he turned around and elbowed him, and then kneed him in the face, and then tried to eliminate him with a rope around his neck, but Seamus managed to grab onto the ropes and hit him in the head. Seamus tried to pull him out, but Artrut headbutted him, breaking free from the hold, but failed to eliminate Seamus, and then the countdown would be heard again. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Azazel, it can't be. Penemu, what's wrong? Razor, it's Crazy Ambrose. New York Crazy Ambrose? Ambrose would then be seen entering at full speed, and upon reaching the ring he climbed onto the corner and took flight, landing on top of Seamus and Artrut. Stop the music. Then he put Artrut in a corner and began to hit him like a madman until Seamus grabbed him by the arm, but he also got the same dose as Artrut, but Seamus would push him and give him his special kick, causing him to step back, but he would hold on to the second and first rope to give him a rope around his neck and then start screaming while hitting his chest. Dean was going to continue with the punishments, but again the gut feeling would return and he decided to wait for the next opponent. Commentator 1, and there comes the number 5. Commentator 2, Baron Corbin. At that, Baron Corbin enters and begins to give Dean some good blows. Both did not back down until Baron kicked him in the face, but Dean applied the same one he had to Seamus, but then Artrut gave him a couple of flying kicks, but Seamus gave him his special kick, knocking him out, but he also fell exhausted. The Battle Royale has just begun. Who will be the winner of this war? Who will have the right to face one of the current champions? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chapter 11, The Royal Battle Part 2. The final match continued. 11 participants had already entered the ring, not counting the first 5. A total of 9 wrestlers had been eliminated. Now there were only 7 challengers in the ring, which were Artrut, Seamus, Dean Ambrose, Baron Corbin, Cesaro, Ryback and Mark Henry. Commentator 1, this battle royale has become exciting. Commentator 2, Mark Henry is dominating the ring right now. In the ring, Mark Henry was stepping on Seamus' face while grabbing Corbin's neck and hitting him in the face repeatedly, until Dean Ambrose attacked him from behind, starting to give him a combo of punches and kicks, causing Mark Henry to cover himself until he grabbed him by the hair and headbutted him, stunning him and then hitting him with a blow that sent him to the other side of the ring. Artrut tried to face him, but Mark Henry grabbed him by the neck, then lifted him up as if nothing had happened and threw him out of the ring from the third rope, being eliminated. Cesaro tried to eliminate Mark Henry, but only one push was enough to get him out of the ring under the first rope. Then Ryback tried to run him over, but he was the one who got run over. Serafall, boy, that guy can't be stopped. Grafia, do you think Issei can handle him if he's the next one to enter? Ophis, of course he can if he has already faced gods and monsters. The others just agreed in support of what Ophis said. With the Gremry, they were very impressed by Mark Henry's tremendous strength, since he alone could handle 6 men, and was also the cause of eliminating the other 9, not counting Artrut. Rias, that guy is a real monster. Aquino, if Issei meets him, he will surely get hurt. She said this somewhat worried about Issei. Kaneko, Senpai will win. I know he will win. Irina, look, the next challenger is about to pass. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commentator 1, it's the big show. Commentator 2, Big Show enters at number 17. Commentator 1. Hold on tight because a clash of powers is about to begin. The Big Show was walking to the ring while staring at Mark Henry, who was yelling at him. Mark Henry, come on Show, come here and I'll show you which of us is the giant of giants. Big Show just smiled and entered the ring. They stared at each other, creating a lot of pressure in the place. Stop the music. No one dared to say anything until they saw Mark Henry lunge at Big Show, and he received him with a huge right hook, leaving him lying on the canvas unconscious. Big Show, who is the real giant here? He shouted at the top of his lungs. Everyone just screamed his name while applauding. Big Show grabbed Mark Henry and took him out of the ring from the third rope, eliminating him. Big Show was eliminating every wrestler who dared to enter until he eliminated Baron Corbin, who, in a fit of rage, tried to attack Big Show from behind, which did not go very well for him since with a simple right hook he brought him down to earth. Kuroka, wow, that Big Show is very strong. She said it more than impressed. Zenobia, Asta even eliminated that Mark Henry without any problems. Irina, but when will Issei happen? Rias, I want to see it already. At that point the countdown would start again. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commentator 2, it's the Batista animal. Commentator 1, comes in as number 22. Azazel, well, Issei already has it more than difficult. Xiaolan, why do you say that? Valley, that guy is an animal. Razor, there are very few who can stand up to that guy. Stop the music. While in the dressing rooms, there were some girls who were watching what was happening. AJ Lee, hey, do you guys think John will win? Alexia, are you doubting me, John? Nikki, who died for you to say it's yours? Asuka, AJ Lee is right about one thing. Paige, still missing is Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, CM Punk and Roman Reigns, plus that mysterious wrestler who I'm not too happy about. Sasha, you don't have to worry. Bailey, remember that John always finds a way to overcome his limits and win. This way the girls would calm down a bit and wait for everything to go well for John Cena. In the ring, Batista had already subdued Big Show, who tried to stand up, but every time he did Batista grabbed him in a strong hug and slammed him to the ground. Dean tried to do something, but unfortunately Batista eliminated him, as did Sheamus. Ryback, who had already reacted, managed to give Batista a lasso around his neck, then grabbed him by the face and began to slam him to the ground over and over again, but then Big Show grabbed him by the head and headbutted him as Batista did. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commentator 1, oh there comes the Viper. Commentator 2, and he comes in as number 23. Commentator 1, this is going to get good. Randy was running and entered the ring. Big Show tried to give him his right hook, but Randy dodged it and did the RKOs, surprising everyone, even the supernatural beings. Stop the music. Then he repeated the dose with Batista, just like with Ryback. He saw how Big Show tried to stand up and he stood in a corner like a predator hunting its prey, and to everyone's surprise he gave him a powerful kick in the head, giving him an OK. Batista tried to attack him, but Randy held him and slammed him to the ground and repeated the dose again, so that later he would do the RKO on him again, and then he did it again to Ryback, leaving him alone standing. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commentator 1, and here comes the best in the world, CM Punk. Commentator 2, entering with number 24. CM Punk was walking while staring at Randy Orton, and he did the same, and with their looks they only said one thing. I will eliminate you myself and be the champion of this battle royale. Chapter 12, The Royal Battle Part 3. CM Punk and Randy Orton stared at each other as they collided, foreheads indicating that they were not going to be intimidated by each other. The pressure was felt, and it was much greater than that of Big Show and Mark Henry. Randy was the first to attack, giving CM Punk a punch in the face, and he responded with an elbow to Randy Orton in the face as well. Both continued to hit each other until Randy tried to do the RKO, but CM Punk pushed him away and kicked him in the back of the head, sending him into the ropes. Ryback tried to attack him from behind, but CM Punk carried him on his shoulders and brought him down while slamming his knee into Ryback's face. Then he gave Batista a couple of flying kicks, who collided with Big Show and both fell. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commentator 1, it's Emperor Roman. Commentator 2, enter with number 25. Azazel, if Issei were to face this one, a good fight would be dreamy. Searches, because you say so, Azazel. Razor, you could say that Issei and this Roman Reigns have almost the same strength. That surprised everyone who was with Azazel, even the Gremry girls who were able to hear. Roman was entering the ring while looking at CM Punk with a confident smile, and he did the same. Stop the music. CM Punk was the first to attack, trying to kick him, but Roman blocked it, and slaps him, throwing him to the canvas. Then he slapped Randy Orton again, grabbed Batista and threw him out of the ring, eliminating him. He began to attack Big Show with a combo of punches to finish with a slap. Then he did a spear to Ryback, leaving him lying on the canvas, but Randy took advantage of that to do an RKO. But Big Show tried to do the claw to Randy, and Ryback tried to take advantage of that, but he still holds him, and that CM Punk kicks him in the face, stunning him. Ryback puts a rope around his neck, and Randy was preparing to do his RKO, but Big Show manages to evade him by pushing him, but Roman hits him with the Superman right hand, and Randy manages to do the RKO, and between all of them they eliminate him, and they stare at each other waiting for who starts the first move to attack. Public, 5 4 3 2 1. Commentator 1, it can't be. Commentator 2, it's Sting, and he enters AS number 26. Backstage, the girls were more than shocked to see one of Triple H's rivals. Sasha, I seriously can't believe it. AJ Lee, Sting in the Battle Royal? Paige, John is going to have a tough time. And the others just agreed. While among the audience searches, Grafia, Milika's, Kanu, Yasaka, Issei's parents, Rias' parents, Xiaolan, Isabella, Ni, Lin, Gabriel, Michael, Penemu, Ophis, LeFay, Sarah Fall, Sona, Kiba, Gasper and Sabaki were somewhat confused as they were the Gremry, but seeing the astonished faces of Razor, Vala and Azazel, they knew that Sting was a guy that was not to be taken lightly. Sting was walking with all the calmness in the world, while the other challengers who were in the ring were very shocked to see one of the greatest legends in front of them, willing to fight for the right to challenge any champion. Stop the music. Sitting when entering the first to attack was Ryback, but Sting gave him a blow to the head, knocking him to the ground. Then it was CM Punk, but Sting just raised his foot, knocking him down. Randy tried to run him over, but Sting ran him over, putting more force. Then he saw Roman, who was doing the same, so both began to grab each other's heads and began to give each other many blows to the face. While the public screamed with excitement, Sting began to elbow him, and Roman hit him in the pit of the stomach, but Sting gave him a knee and sat him against the ropes, and then did a suplex. Ryback kicked him in the pit of the stomach, but Sting leaned on the ropes and kicked him in the face. Everyone had fallen before Sting, but then the public says. Public, 5 4 3 2 1. Commentator 1, he's the Heartbreaker Boy. Comments 2, enter as number 27 Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was walking calmly while receiving many applause and praise from the women. Even Venelana and Issei's mother whistled at him, not caring that their families were watching them. Xiaticus, do you hear that? That's my heart breaking. P.I., I understand you, buddy. Xerxes, calm down, you two have to admit that he looks more handsome than you. Rias, Mom, she shouted from the other side, trying to get her mother's attention. Shawn Michaels came to the ring and stared at Sting, as the two had a rivalry for years. Stop the music. Sting then followed up with a quick punch to Shawn, and Shawn returned the blow with a forearm to the face. Sting tried to punch him again, but Shawn started hitting him in the chest, driving him back to the ropes, then charging him and slamming him to the ground. Then he kicked Randy Orton in the jaw, then Roman, then CM Punk. Ryback managed to catch him by surprise and tried to do a sub, but Shawn managed to free himself from the air and grabbed him by the nape of the neck and then backed away, carrying Ryback's body. Shawn began to take off his upper clothes, revealing his torso, making many girls blush, including those from the supernatural world, who got a nosebleed, but those in love with Issei held back since they only had eyes for John, as did the female wrestlers who were in love with John. Xiaticus, grab me or I'll kill him, grab me or I'll kill him. He said this while being held by Xerxes, Michael and Azazel, while he saw how Venelana had hearts in her eyes. P.I., Issei, and you are not the only one. Zioticus, he said it in the same way as his friend while he was held by Razor and Vala, and watched as his wife also looked at him with hearts in her eyes. Venelana, that body was made by the gods themselves. Me, I would like to take that big man home. At that point the audience would start counting again. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commentator 2, and here comes the man who never gives up. Commentator 1, and with number 28 John Cena. Rias, yes, here comes my Issei. Akino, era, I want to see how he fights. Kaneko, come on senpai, you can do it. Zenobia, kick their asses. Kuroka, come on Issei Naya. Ravel, you may Issei Sama. Ross, come on Issei. Asia, I'll pray for you Issei-kun, he said it while having a horrible headache. With Azazel's group, the girls screamed with excitement as they were finally going to see their love interest in action, while Issei's parents only paid attention to see what was happening like the others, but Azazel, Vala and Razor only had a serious face since they knew the friendship that Shawn Michaels and he had. John and Shawn stared at each other, but this look was not one of defiance or resentment but one of doubt, since both did not want to fight each other, but they knew that there had to be only one winner in this contest. Chapter 13, The Royal Battle, Final Part. David vs. Goliath. John Cena and Shawn Michaels stared at each other, creating a somewhat uncomfortable atmosphere, but it was clear that neither of them wanted to attack each other. But Shawn and John shook hands and then stood guard. Azazel, it looks like the two of them are going to start fighting. Vala, they don't care who wins, but I think they just want to have a friendly battle. Razor, it seems so. So they both grabbed each other's heads as they began to wrestle. John pushed him back. Shawn stared at him but then smiled when he saw that John was smiling too. They both began to hit each other hard in the face. Ika, it seems like they're going to get serious. Venelana, I honestly don't know who to support. Zioticus, I'm going to support Issei. In the fight, John and Shawn were giving each other machete blows until Shawn hugged him and did a supple, but John also hugged him and did a supple. Both tried to get up, but in that Shawn would receive a knee to the face by CM Punk and John would receive an RKO by Randy Orton, but both would be eliminated by Ryback, who took them out with a rope to the neck, but in that Roman would take advantage to eliminate him. Sighing would try to attack him from behind, but Roman would manage to dodge him, so both pushing themselves with the ropes to give each other a rope to the neck and both falling on the canvas. Then the countdown would start again. Public, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commentator 1, amazing. Commentator 2, it's King Mystery, and with number 29. King Mysterio was passing through the audience while he highly rated some children and rubbed his forehead against others. But then he passed in front of Kunu and Milica's and smeared his forehead with theirs. Rey Mysterio, so these are John's favorite kids. It was great meeting them. Saying that, he climbed into a corner and jumped onto Sting. Stop the music. He quickly stood up and landed a leg kick on Roman Reigns, leaving them both between the top and bottom ropes. Rey Mysterio pushed off the ropes and kicked them in the face as he spun between the ropes, then climbed onto the top rope and did the 619, but when he saw Shawn Michaels and John Cena, he stopped and stared at them while putting his hands on his waist. King, I have nothing against you two, but I want to win this fight. Shawn, same here. John, may the best man win then. So the three began to fight each other. Rey Mysterio kicked the two, causing Shawn to be on the ropes, but John was still standing, so he tried to give him some flying kicks, but John held him and slammed him against the canvas. Shawn kicked John in the jaw, leaving him out of the fight, but in that Romab would give him a powerful right hook, knocking him out. And would do the same with Rey Mysterio and Sting. But again and last time the countdown would sound. Commentator 1, I can't believe it, the Great Khali is back. He is back. After 5 years he is back. Commentator 2, and he enters AS number 30, the most complete of all. Commentator 1, it is more than clear that he has already assured victory. Valley, if the rumors about him are true, then John already lost. Le Fay, why do they say that? Razor, it's because that guy is a true titan. Sona, I know John will win. Stop the music. Roman Reigns was the first to attack the great Callie, but he just raised his foot, knocking him down, then grabbed him by the neck and threw him out of the ring over the third rope, eliminating him. Later he went for Sting, but he started attacking him with a combo of punches and kicks, but Callie pushed him out under the first rope. Rey Mysterio climbed into a corner and gave him a couple of flying kicks to the back, but he couldn't even move Callie. He turned around and saw Rey, so he decided to hit him with his palm on the head, knocking him unconscious. Shawn Michaels tried to get up, but Callie squeezed his head tightly, causing Shawn to cry out in pain and tried to desperately free himself. "Ika, it can't be," she said with great concern. "Then Alana, let it go right now." "Seraphal, this is cruel." In the fight, Callie increased the strength of the squeeze and Shawn was falling unconscious, but John would hit him from behind, causing him to release him. "John, come on, come on. Let's go," he said as he stood in front of him, provoking him to attack him, and had a smile on his face. "Searches, look at the size of those eggs." "Azazel, I don't know if that's being brave or being stupid." And the others just agreed. With the Gremry, they were with their jaws on the ground watching Issei challenge someone much bigger and stronger than him. "Rias, what did Issei just do?" "Aquino, I think it's one of his nonsense ideas." "Asia, God please help my beloved Issei." "Ouch." "Zenobia, I know the father of my children will win." "Irina, come on my love." Backstage, the girls were more than impressed by how John showed no fear of Callie. "Nikki, that's my love." "Alexia, yours." "You're wrong, it's mine." "Paige, they're really crazy." "Asuka, come on, you crazy girls, I'm your love." "AJ, I'm your love, you silly Japanese girl." "Bailey, are you guys crazy or something? I'm your love." "Sasha, well, the boss already has a female boss and that's me." So the girls started fighting while something interesting was happening in the ring. In the fight, John stared at Callie and he just tried to attack, but John managed to crouch down and start hitting him in the face with great force and speed, thus managing to corner him in a corner. Rey climbed into a corner with the intention of flying. "King, John, get out of the way," I shouted. Joe did as he said and Rey made a big jump, nailing his feet into Callie's chest. Shawn, seeing the opportunity, gave him a kick to the jaw and John carried him with some difficulty, surprising everyone with his exception, and applying the attitude adjustment. Sting got into the ring and grabbed Callie's head and then slammed it against the canvas. The four were going to proceed to eliminate him, but Callie began to counterattack, giving John a punch in the face, a kick to Sting, and grabbed Rey and Shawn by the neck, taking them out over the third rope, eliminating them. Then he grabbed Sting and also eliminated him, leaving only him and John Cena. Commentator 1, now the epic part comes. Commentator 2, the typical fight of David versus Goliath. John tried to stand up while Callie just looked at him with a smile. John managed to connect a blow to his face, but Callie returned it with a more powerful one, taking him out of the ring through the middle of the second and third rope. "Gabriel, come on John." "Penemu, we know you can do it." "Isabella, yes you can John." "Carlamine, come on, get up." "And Lynn, show how strong you can be." John, hearing those words, began to get up while Callie approached him, but when they were a few centimeters away, John began to give her a combo of punches and kicks, but Callie would knee him and send him against the protective wall that was on the side of the Gremry girls. "Rias, Issei, get up." "Ross, come on Issei, you can do it." "Kuroka, you can win this fight." "Naya." Callie stood in front of them as she hit John's chest hard, causing him to scream in pain. "Kaneko, stop stepping on my senpai." Callie just smiled and increased the strength of her stomp, then grabbed him by the head and sent him against the protective wall that was next to Azazel's group. "Sona, John?" She said it very worried. "Seraphal, hey, who do you think you are to do that?" In John's dressing room, there was a little red dragon who was watching everything while eating some popcorn and having a Coke next to him. "Drake, now this is entertainment," he said while taking a sip of his soda and watching his partner being beaten. In the fight, Callie grabbed John's head and began to squeeze it hard, making John hold her hands to free himself, but it was useless. "Kunu, Issei-san, you can." "Yasaka, show all the strength you can have." All the girls, show who you are. John, hearing that, would begin to put more strength, freeing himself from the hold little by little, making everyone give a great cry of excitement. John would kick him in the stomach and put him back in the ring, and finally he got in and carried him between his shoulders, but Callie grabbed one of the ropes, but John did not care and took him out of the ring by the third rope, winning the Battle Royale. Announcer, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Battle Royale champion. John would take the microphone and start talking. John, me? I didn't give up, he shouted as he climbed onto a corner and began to beat his chest. Then he saw the sign that said WrestleMania XXVI and pointed at it while fireworks began to go off and the entire crowd chanted his name. Chapter 14: An Unexpected Kiss and Confrontation. After John Cena won the Royal Rumble, he pointed to the big sign that said WrestleMania 18. Everyone thought one thing: the fight of the century is about to begin. The entire audience already wanted the biggest event of all time to arrive. Backstage, you could see all the female wrestlers who were in love with John celebrating like crazy. Nikki, I win, I win, I win, I win, she shouted while jumping. Sasha, I knew he would win, not for nothing is he the man who never gives up. Asuka, I'm so proud of my man. Alexia, your man? He's my man. Paige, I don't agree with that. Bailey, she's right, it's mine. So the girls started arguing, but then they realized that someone was missing. Asuka, Hey, and AJ? At that point, everyone would see a note that said, the one who went to the villa loses his man. Attention, AJ Lee. At that, everyone saw John Cena on the screen, who sat in the middle of the ring while putting his hands on his face. All, no, they shouted to go quickly to the door, but then they saw that it was stuck. On the other side, there was a large soda machine lying on its side as it took out many leaking cans. All, damn AJ Lee, they screamed, trying to push the door, but it was no use. With AJ, she was doing her usual jumping around as she headed to the ring with a beautiful smile. AJ, just wait for little John. Your beautiful princess is on her way there. While in the ring, John Cena could be seen sitting while looking with a big smile at the big sign that said WrestleMania. He didn't notice that AJ was getting closer. Sona, Serafal, Yasaka, Kunu, Ophis, Grafia, Carlamine, Isabella, and I, Lynn, LeFay, Penemu, Gabriel, Xiaolan, and the Gremory girls had a bad feeling. John, because I feel like things are going to get shaken up, he said so he could get up. But before he knew it, he was turned around and then kissed by AJ Lee. Everyone was very excited except for the supernatural girls who were emanating murderous auras. John didn't know what to do until he decided to kiss her back. Everyone was very excited, but certain girls only increased their murderous auras. The fighters, seeing that, hit the door to try to break it down, and in John's dressing room, Drake had spit out all the soda tea he had taken because of the great surprise he got. Drake, another one, really? Everyone was watching that scene with a great scene of love when the song of the incarnate beast began to sound again. Brock Lesnar went straight to the ring and didn't look very happy. It wasn't because he kissed AJ Lee that it was worth it, but because he ruined his chance to keep the heavyweight championship even though he still had the briefcase. John, seeing that, carried AJ and took her out of the ring on the other side, and he managed to stop two people from getting in. Commentator 1: This is incredible. First John Cena wins the Royal Rumble, then he makes out with AJ Lee, and now he plans to confront Brock Lesnar. Commentator 2: But look at his face, he's not going to back down. He said this while watching John Cena wait for Brock Lesnar to get into the ring. He just gave a smile and proceeded to climb up, but he didn't wait for John to attack quickly. Both began to struggle until Brock managed to take him by the back and do a suplex. Stop the music. Brock started kicking him and then grabbed him by the lower jaw. He put a lot of force, which made John scream in pain. The Gremory girls were very shocked by that. Azazel's group was worried, but the girls who even almost wanted to go help him, but they were stopped by the boys. The fighters, upon leaving the room to see how their love interest was suffering, began to run towards the ring to help him, and AJ was held by two men so she wouldn't go since she could get hurt. In the ring, Brock Lesnar began to apply his submission hold, causing John to scream in pain. AJ, John the first screamed, very worried. John saw for a moment AJ Lee, who had a face full of worry, then he turned to see Sona and the other girls and then saw how the other fighters were entering with great concern. "John, I won't give up," he said it with effort. In that with all his strength he began to get up, while also carrying Brock Lesnar and pressing everyone. He began to crash him against one of the corners until he managed to release him. Brock moved from the corner, and John stood there while holding his arm. The beast tried to grab him, but John lifted his foot, giving him a strong kick. Then he began to hit him with great speed in the face, but in that Brock Lesnar would charge him and would do the F5. But John would manage to get down and would manage to apply the attitude adjustment and then apply your submission key. Azazel, come on, John. Valley, if only I would suffer. Razor, show him who's boss. But Brock would then manage to get John off of him and start hitting him. But John would push him and get on top of him again to also hit him like that for a while until the public saw how some WWE wrestlers came in to separate them, but they wouldn't let go. They wanted to kill each other. At that, the wrestlers also intervened by grabbing John with the help of Kofi, R-Truth, Dean Ambrose, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Sheamus, Rey Mysterio, Edge, Goldberg and Shawn Michaels, while Big Show, Elias, Corbin, Wyatt, The Miz, Mark Henry, Rusev and Shane McMahon grabbed Brock Lesnar. "Brock, damn you, you ruined my chance to win," I shouted with a lot of hatred. "John, well, come and try," he said, this trying to free himself from his companion's grip. At that point, the wrestlers who had Brock Lesnar grabbed began to retreat, taking him with them, while Cena's teammates acted as a sort of human barrier, but also tried to prevent John from attacking him. Brock Lesnar and John Cena stared at each other, and there was a great deal of pressure, and something was very clear. A very big rivalry had been born. Chapter 15: Supernatural Confrontation. After the kiss he gave AJ and the little fight he had with Brock Lesnar, Cena and his companions were leaving the place while everyone just applauded for the great event and the great fights that took place. They already wanted to see the next wrestling event. They even already wished that WrestleMania would come very soon so they could see the Clash of Titans that was coming. But what they didn't know is that before that there were going to be a few confrontations that were going to be between the supernatural world and the human world. "Azazel, this was epic," he said, standing up from his place followed by the others. "Searches, who would have thought that the perverted boy who risked himself several times to protect us would become a great fighter?" "Michael, but now what's going to happen?" "Venelana, why do you say that, Michael?" Michael didn't say anything and just pointed to the place where the granary should be. Everyone looked at the place and saw that they were no longer there, and only one idea came to mind. "Everyone, Issei," they shouted, but then they saw that the girls had run to where John was. While with John, he was walking with his companions and the fighters who had fallen in love with him. Everyone tried to calm him down, but then John saw that a certain group of girls he didn't want to see were approaching, drawing everyone's attention, who put on a serious face, but the fighter's expression was angry. "Rias, Issei," she shouted with great joy as she ran towards him with the other girls. At that point the wrestlers would stand in front of them, blocking the girls' way, which made them a little angry. "Rias, what do you think you're doing?" "AJ, it's nothing but obvious brat," he said with hatred. "Nikki, we're not going to let them get close to John." "Aquino, who do you think you are to tell us that?" "Asuka, people who will never dare to hurt him." "Kaneko, move aside before things get ugly," she said while snapping her fingers. "Alexa, oh how scary, the little loli wants to intimidate us," she said, trembling sarcastically. "Kuroka, don't mess with my sister." "Sasha, and you don't mess with my friend." "Ross, it seems like they already want to die here." "Bailey, do you want to fight?" "Asia, we will fight for Issei-san's heart if necessary." "Ravel, so you better not provoke us." "Paige, we're the ones who should be saying that, girl." A great pressure was present in the place. Both sides began to look at each other defiantly while they took out their auras, making the place shake. The boys only hid behind Braun since he was the biggest and toughest. They took advantage to use him as a human shield, but he did not stay behind and covered himself with some boxes that were there. "John, I didn't think they had that scary aura." "Goldberg, I don't know if it's as terrifying or more terrifying than the Undertaker's aura." Elsewhere in the Colosseum, We see the Undertaker walking to a hearse until he felt that great murderous aura that made him give him a small smile. Undertaker, don't worry, John, I'll take care of making you an honorable grave myself. He said this and then left the place. Back with John, he and his companions watched with great fear as the Gremory girls and their companions faced each other without even backing away. They were going to start fighting if it weren't for Sona and Issei's other lovers who arrived at the place, while behind them were Xerxes, Azazel, Michael being dragged by Vala and Razor, Kiba and Gaspard being carried by Guro and Zeoticus, while Aika and Venelana along with Milikas walked with great tranquility. Sona, we won't allow you to get close to Issei-kun. Shiolan, so go away, Crimson Witch. Akino, you two shut up, the problem now isn't with you. Graphia, oh of course it is, girl. Seraphal, so you two better calm down and get out of here. Kaneko, not without my senpai. And do you want things to get ugly? He said, snapping his fingers just like his sister. Ophis, you better leave if you know what's good for you. Carlamine, she's right, he said, wielding his sword. Isabella, so long. Kuroka, we won't. Lefei, look, Cat, I've wanted to make you suffer for a long time. Ross, he belongs only to us and no one else. Yasaka, that ended when he was tricked. Kunu, he doesn't deserve to feel more pain. At that, Azazel interfered while he was crawling on the floor since he was too tired to try to stand. Azazel, hey, what if you guys settle this in a fight? That caught everyone's attention, but John gestured for her to be quiet. Azazel, yes, we will organize fights in the underworld and they will be broadcast throughout the supernatural world, in which the best fighters of the supernatural world will face you, he said, pointing at the fighters and John with his companions. Sean, and why do you want that? Azazel, so that Issei's fate with his partners is finally decided, and because I thought it would be fun. Braun, to me it makes sound fun. He said this while cracking his wrists. Fighters, we accept. And the others accepted, and John, with no other option, also accepted, thus agreeing that in a week the confrontations they were going to have in the underworld would take place. Thus the Gremory girls retreated, promising that they would recover their beloved. Leaving the others in that again they would feel that killer instinct, and everyone looked at Issei's lovers who had him against the wall, while he was sweating profusely, while AJ was laughing. All, per Issei/John. Chapter 16, Event in the Supernatural World. After agreeing on a date for the fight and getting beat up by the female wrestlers, John was at his parents' house while his mother was putting bandages on him and the father was meeting his son's teammates and love interests. But then Braun brought up the subject of the fight that would take place in the underworld. Braun, and what do you think about the fights? Roman, well, I think they will be interesting because we will be able to face very strong beings. Dean, I agree with Roman. Shaw, but it was only the girls who accepted. Goldberg, I doubt we will participate as well. King, that was a big critical hit for you guys, he said, pointing at Braun, Roman and Dean. Kofi, I highly doubt that will happen. Alexia, why do you say that? Nikki, he says that because that guy named Azazel commented that he was going to make it interesting what was going to happen in the underworld. AJ, so? John, he plans to gather fighters to face us. Seamus, boy, did he think of everything. John, well, since you decided that if we are going to fight starting tomorrow we will train a little, since there are some who may not be very strong but have abilities that can surely cause you problems. Everyone was going to complain, but when they saw John's look they got a little scared because for a moment his eyes glowed green, so everyone agreed. M.Issei, well son, it would be better for you to go home to rest a little. P. Issei, besides, you have to teach all the tricks and movements of the Gremorys to your companions. John just agreed and proceeded to leave his parents' house with his teammates so they could begin training for tomorrow. While in the occult club, the Gremory girls could be seen with a smile, while on a table there were some syringes with a green liquid mixed with purple. Rias, with this we will surely have victory in our hands. Aquino, we will do whatever it takes to get Issei back into our arms. Asia, but what are those things? Kaneko, they are magic enhancers. They make both our physical and magical strength increase to very high points. Zenobia, I'm sure this will be more than enough to humiliate those damn things. Ross, but listen carefully, we only have 2 charges each, so make good use of them. Kuroka, you don't have to say it, she said, taking one of the syringes. We will do anything to get Issei back. Irina, anything, including killing those hitches, she said with a sadistic smile. Ravel, that's right. So all the girls would start laughing like psychopaths while thinking about our protagonist and how to massacre the fighters. 1 week later, many demons, angels, fallen angels, yokai, Norsemen, dragons could be seen gathered outside the Gremry castle, while in front of them were their leaders who were making the final preparations. Searches, thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. Azazel, tonight we have brought you the greatest destruction you have ever seen. He shouted at the top of his lungs while the audience followed him, not counting the angels. Yasaka, well, today we will witness not only a clash of worlds but also rivalries that were formed. Michael, the female fighters team versus the Gremry team for the heart of John Cena, or as we better know him, Issei Hyuta, he said, receiving a scream full of emotion from the public. Odin, and finally a reckoning. The bearer of the White Dragon Emperor, Vala Lucifer versus the man who never gives up, John Cena. Literally everyone gave a huge scream that could even be heard as they would finally see the greatest rivalry in their stories. The leaders, without further ado, let's get started with this, they shouted, and then a sound was heard that would impress everyone. Commentator, on the side of the supernatural beings, belonging to Asgard, god of thunder, prince of Asgard, son of Odin, the mighty Thor. Accompanied by the most agile vampire of all and Rias Gremry's bishop, Gasper Vladi. Those mentioned only walked until they were in front of a portal. Thor was wearing his armor and Gasper was wearing sports pants. Both gave a sigh to calm down a bit and entered the portal, coming across a castle where they were going to fight. Thor, so this is where our fight is going to be. Gasper, I will do my best to win. He said it very determinedly. Thor, that's a vampire, he said, hitting Gasper's back. In that he would hear a very heavy song, making everyone feel a chill, but Thor just smiled as he felt that he would finally fight against someone very powerful. Commentator, no one can stop him, no one can stand up to him, the destruction walking, the great and powerful monster among men, Braun Strowman. The aforementioned just walked while receiving everyone's looks, some were of fear, others of astonishment, and others of respect, since they greatly admired the great demonstration of the tremendous power that he can release. Braun stopped in front of the portal and gave a smile so that another song could be heard later that made Milikas and Kuna happy. Commentator, born in the bosom of Great Africa, US champion, WWE champion and current Intercontinental champion, the agile and wonderful Kofi Kingston. The aforementioned went towards Bruin while making his typical movements. Everyone applauded at that. Kofi being next to Braun, they collided their fists and entered the portal, running into Thor and Gasper, thus clashing their gazes before they started to fight. Chapter 17, Capture the Flag. Braun and Kofi were staring at Thor and Gasper as they waited for the match to start, but then Graphia's voice was heard. Graphia, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this battle will go like this. Both teams must find a flag that is hidden inside the castle. The couple that manages to hold it for the longest time will be the winner of this first match, and without further ado, let's begin. Saying that, Gasper and Kofi ran into the castle while Thor and Braun looked at each other. Thor, so you're a monster? I asked with a smile. Braun, I have faced kings, beasts and demons, he said, referring to Triple H, Brock Lesnar and Kane, but I have never faced a god. Thor, as god of thunder I will fulfill your wish, he said as he got into a combat stance. Braun, there's a first time for everything, Thor, he said, grabbing his jaw with his right hand and cracking his neck, moving his hand from side to side. So Thor threw himself at Braun while he was waiting for him, being just a few centimeters away. Braun dodged his attack and landed a powerful blow to his face, sending him to the castle. While inside, Kofi and Gasper were climbing a staircase, but then they felt a tremor and saw that it was Thor who had crossed one of the walls and Braun had entered through the hole left by the god of thunder. Thor quickly recovered and summoned some lightning bolts, and then launched them at Strowman, making him retreat. Thor, what are you waiting for, kid? Go your way, I shouted at the vampire. Braun, same here, Kingston, "Keep looking for the flag," he shouted as he tried to move forward. The aforementioned just acknowledged and continued running in search of the flag while letting the two moles fight. "Thor, I must admit you are very strong. Brawn, and you still haven't seen anything," he said, starting to walk while still receiving the attack. Thor put more power into his attack, but Strowman still kept advancing, surprising everyone. When he was a few centimeters away, Brawn grabbed the mass hammer and pulled it, causing Thor to approach him, and then hit him in the face that sent him flying. As he released the hammer, Brawn grabbed Thor by the neck and lifted him up. But then Thor stretched out his hand, his hammer went to him, and when he already had it in his possession, he gave a great blow to Strowman that sent him flying. At the top, Kofi and Gasper took different paths to look for the flag, but they saw that everything was collapsing. But that saw a white flag that was among some rubble. Gaspy was going to take the flag but saw how Kingston hung from the ceiling and gave him a couple of kicks in the chest, making him back off. "Kofi, sorry kid, but I'm not going to let them take the victory," he said, getting into a fighting pose. Gasper, "Same here," he also said, getting into a fighting pose. So both proceeded to throw themselves against each other, starting a very even fight. This surprised everyone present since they knew what Rias Bishop was like. But it seems that he had been training since he wanted to show his master and friend how strong he could become before I returned home. Gasper grabbed Kingston by the feet and threw him against the wall, then took the flag that when touched by Gasper changed to a red color. "Grafia, Gasper has the flag. There are 20 minutes left before the fight ends," Grafia said at the top of her lungs. Gasper just grabbed the flag and placed it on his back, but in that Kofi kicked him in the face, stunning him a little, and then took the flag, but Gasper crouched down and held him by the back and then applied a German suplex and began to run towards where Kofi fell, but he surprised him with a couple of kicks to his face that made him back off. Kofi grabbed the lower part of the flag, but Gasper held the upper part, making half of it blue and the other red, and Kingston landed a couple of punches to make him let go, and causing the flag to start to take a blue tone. "Grafia, Kofi has the flag. There are 13 minutes left in the match." Kofi saw Gasper getting up and stood in front of Kofi, but just before they could go on the attack again, the ground cracked and out came Thor and Brawn, who were still fighting despite having many bruises and burns. Both continued to hit each other until they broke a wall and both fell. Only the loud noise of their blows could be heard until a huge crash rang out, with both of them looking out at Thor and Strowman, who were getting up. Gasper took advantage of Kingston's carelessness and took the flag from him, and then kicked him in the stomach. "Grafia, Gasper recovered the flag. There are 7 minutes left until the fight ends." Kofi, "Wow, kid, you're pretty clever." Gasper, "I learned from the best," he said, referring to John Cena. Kofi, "It shows." So they both jumped to prevent the roof of the castle from falling on them, but they began to exchange blows while Kingston tried to take the flag away. With Thor and Strowman, these two were getting up after the big hit they gave against the ground. And that Strowman looks at Thor, who is getting up, and tries to grab him, but Thor gives him a strong blow to the wrist, then grabs him by the neck and throws him to the ground and invokes some lightning bolts that fell on Strowman. And when he finished his attack, he saw Strowman getting up. Although he was weak, Thor was going to hit him with his hammer, but Strowman blocked it and grabs him by the head to then lift him up and slam him roughly to the ground, causing it to crack. With Kofi and Gasper, Kingston had recovered the flag and now prevented Gasper from taking it from him, exchanging blows between the two, but in that both would dodge a lightning bolt that was caused by Thor, who tried to attack Strowman, who had also dodged it. Thor went to attack Brawn, but in a quick movement he lifted him on his shoulders as if he were a sack of potatoes and slammed him against the ground, letting his weight fall as well. "Grafia, there are 30 seconds left until the end of the fight." Gasper, hearing that, proceeded to use his sacred gear, affecting Kofi a little, and he took advantage of that to take the flag and walk away. When everything returned to normal, Kingston saw that he no longer had the flag and that Gasper, who was far away, had it. "Kofi, damn it," he said, and then ran towards Gasper. Strowman grabbed Thor and hit him with a blow, causing him to crash into a trap. Kingston threw himself at Gasper and took the flag from him just before the bell rang, confirming that the fight was over. At that moment, everyone appeared in front of the public, who were screaming with excitement at the tremendous spectacle that was displayed. "Grafia, Okay, now that the battle is over, I will give you the results of the times they were taking the flag. First time 7 and 6 minutes. Second time 5 and 6, and the last time is 45 and 44 seconds, and giving as victories to Gasper, Vladimir, and Thor said, making the aforementioned go to the front, while Kofi and Braun applauded. Thor, thanks for your support, but we didn't take the real victory. They did, he said, pointing to the WWE wrestlers. They showed great willpower, and even more so this big guy, he said, pointing to Strowman. You earned my respect, big guy. Now you're not only going to say that you've faced kings, beasts and demons, but also gods. Braun just stretched out his hand and Thor accepted it, and then gave him a hug full of recognition and respect, which was seen by everyone, who began to applaud for this demonstration of respect between them. But a certain blonde-haired man got up from his seat and began to walk, while in another part of the arena a certain lunatic anxiously awaited his fight. Chapter 18: Fight Without Rules. Everyone was excitedly waiting for the next fight. Braun, Kofi, Gasper and Thor had retired to get some rest. The place where these four had fought was beginning to change, showing the next combat arena. Everyone was very amazed by that because it seemed very beautiful to them, but then Graphia's voice would sound, which was giving the instructions for the next fight. Graphia: well, ladies and gentlemen, in the next fight it will be decided who is the craziest of both worlds, she shouted with excitement, while the others followed the shout. Well, in this fight there will be no rules but one, so it will be a street fight, and the only rule that will be said is that you cannot kill your opponent, she said, making everyone more excited. But a certain couple of girls worried first, presenting the slob of the supernatural world, the bearer of the great Vitra, Saji. Saji was entering the combat arena while swinging the Spider-Man types. Everyone would only scream with excitement, while Momo and Ruruka were dying of embarrassment for the madness of their love. Saji would jump and stand in the middle of the arena while stretching to the sides. Saji: now this is an entrance, he said proudly. Let's see how that Ambrose guy does it. Graphia: well, introducing the next fighter, he's a first-class man. He was part of the Justice Pack, US Champion, Intercontinental Champion, WWE Champion. The great lunatic Dean Ambrose. Everyone got excited about that, but they didn't see Dean Ambrose enter where Saji appeared. Everyone thought that he decided not to fight, but then they would see how a submarine would approach and fire a torpedo. But the craziest and perhaps funny thing is that what was fired was not a torpedo but Dean Ambrose, who crashed into the wall. Dean, what did you think of that entry, cheap dragon? He said as he emerged from the dust, showing the following clothes. Graphia: since you know how this fight is going to be, I want to know, Dean Ambrose, are you ready? He said, receiving a great war cry from the aforementioned while beating his chest. Saji: are you ready? The aforementioned would only take out his sacred gear. Both: are you ready, so you can begin. Dean and Saji moved through the arena while staring at each other, and that Saji would try to hold him with his sacred gear, but Ambrose would react quickly and evade the attack. Saji would try again, succeeding since he had grabbed him by the arm. The WWE lunatic began to struggle to free himself, but the lunatic of the factions put more energy into his whip for more grip, but in that Ambrose would begin to wrap the whip around his body. Iron Man 2 type, thus slowly approaching Saji. The blonde tried to drain his energy, but great was his surprise when he saw that he could not drain it. Saji: Vitra, what's going on? Vitra: well, since that guy's energy is too much, you can't drain it. You need to move on to the next level to do so. Saji: I understand, he said, and then it was covered by a silver light balance breaker. Saying that, the light began to dissipate little by little, revealing a figure of armor. The glow began to break as if it were a shell, and when it finished breaking, a silver armor very identical to that of Albion and Drake could be seen. Everyone was very impressed by the blonde-haired man's great increase, but Dean Ambrose just gave a smile as he could fight without holding back. Dean: I hope you entertain me, brat. Saji: same here. So both of them threw themselves against each other, beginning to exchange punches and kicks at a high speed that was very difficult to see, but the clashes of fists and kicks could be seen, but Ambrose had a little advantage. In a moment of carelessness, Saji took to land a punch in the face that sent him out of the arena and into the water. Saji went at full speed to Dean, knocking him over like this after passing the submarine, in which opportunity the WWE lunatic had arrived, in which Dean would turn around, causing Saji to crash into a reef. in which Ambrose took the opportunity to knock him over and landed a powerful punch in the face, causing him to cross the reef and then throw all the rubble on top of him, knocking him out. Grafia, Saji has been knocked out. The winner is Dean Ambrose. The aforementioned only began to beat his chest while giving a great war cry in victory, while two groups of girls prepared for their fight in which it would be decided who Issei was going to stay with. Chapter 19, War for Love Part 1. After having contemplated the greatest humiliation of all, the supernatural world was waiting for the other fight to begin, in which the Gremry group was going to participate, which had had great achievements after having defeated the Cadre Kokabil, the god of lies Loki, and defeating the Bale clan in a raiding game, and on the other side were the WWE girls, professional wrestlers who had nothing to give up, not even death itself, and who were willing to give anything to have John Cena Issei by their side. Grafia. Well, the next fight is going to be a team fight in which the future of the hero of the factions Issei Hayadu, or as they know him in the human world John, will be at stake. Cianina, as she said with great emotion, on the one hand there are those who won countless battles and also those who swore love to our hero the Gremry clan, as she said that a song was heard all over the place. In that, the Gremry group is seen coming out with some fighting suits, only Akino, Rosswace and Kuroka with their respective fighting clothes. All of them received boos from everyone, but they were not interested in the least. The only thing they wanted was to recover their Issei John and never let him go again. Rias, so you know, this isn't like a raiding game. Here we all have to be prepared for anything, she said, while her companions just agreed. So in front of them they saw a portal and they decided to enter, seeing that they were no longer in the underworld, but were now in a very large coliseum with a quadrilateral in the middle that measured 1/4 of the coliseum. Rias, wow, now they really did show off with this, she said, looking at the coliseum. Asia, Rias Wani-sama, do you think we can win? Irina, we can win, Asia. Just have faith and also think about how happy Issei would be when he returns to our side. Zenobia, also remember that we have the enhancers that Bicho gave us. I whisper so that no one other than the Gremry will hear her. Rias, speaking of which, we have to use them now, she said while secretly taking out a syringe with the purple substance. They all did the same and injected themselves with the magic enhancers without being discovered by anyone, but in that a song could be heard. Grafia, coming from the human world, professional WWE wrestlers, the Divas, she said while the aforementioned appeared in front of the portal, being accompanied by none other than Ronda Rousey. Nikki, ready girls? She asked while snapping her fingers. Girls, yes, they answered, ready to fight. So they all proceeded to enter the portal, seeing the Gremry face to face, who had a somewhat arrogant and sadistic smile, while the WWE girls had a serious and cold look. Grafia, this is how this match will be. It will be an elimination fight. Each member that falls from each team will be eliminated until there is no one left from either team. The winning team will keep John Cena. In the locker room, you could see the WWE men watching the fight, and among them was John Issei, who had a poker face. John, I'm not an object for them to say that, he said, making those present laugh. In the arena, both teams went to their respective corners. Asia was going to start on the Gremry side and Sasha was going to start on the WWE girls side. The bell ranged and Asia went on the attack at full speed, only to receive some flying kicks from Sasha, causing her to fall unconscious, and then covering her while the Gremry tried to make her react. Grafia, 1, 2, 3, Asia Argento is eliminated, Grafia announced. Rias and the others just stood there very still as they looked at the WWE girls with hatred, but especially at Sasha, who was doing her typical "I'm the boss" move. The next one to be there was Kaneko, who stood on guard while Sasha did the same. Kaneko quickly went to her and tried to hit her, but Sasha held her arm and let herself fall, causing the Nakomata to roll. Then she tried to kick her, but the albino held her leg, only to receive a kick to the head from Sasha, who used her other leg, stunning the albino. Grafia, oops, I bet that hurt, she said while rubbing her cheek. Sasha, she tried to gain momentum, but in doing so she was pulled by the legs by Kuroka, who grabbed her by the hair and slammed her against the wall. The WWE girls tried to get closer to help their friend, but then Rias kneed her in the stomach and brought her back to the ring. The girls returned to their corner as they watched Kaneko apply a submission hold by placing her knee on the boss's back while holding her left arm, pulling it back, and holding her neck with a lock. "Kaneko, give up and senpai will come back to me," she said with a smile as she put more force, making Sasha scream in pain. "Sasha, AGHNO, I'm not giving up, not today, to let them take John away from me, HHHHH," she said as she slowly got up. Kaneko was trying to put more strength, but she didn't know if Sasha would carry her on her shoulders and apply a move that only belonged to her love interest, an attitude adjustment. Both girls were left lying on the ground while being supported by their respective teams to get up, but the ones who received the most support were those from WWE, but they didn't realize that Rias and the others decided to use the last syringe containing the magic enhancer they had left to have some advantage against the WWE girls. Chapter 20. War for Love Part 2. The fight began. The WWE wrestlers were winning by one elimination, but it was still very difficult for them to fight against the Gremry, something that seemed quite strange to them, but they were still not going to give up. But they still had a hard time believing that the Gremry were forcing them to be serious, causing the WWE girls to use all their power while Paige and Nikki Bella used their first immortal transformation. Now in the match on WWE's side were Nikki Bella, Paige and AJ. On Gremry's side were Rias, Aquino and Kaneko, while they watched in the middle of the arena where Ronda and Kuroka were struggling to see who gains a little ground until Ronda let herself falls back, but not before grabbing Kuroka with a lock, causing her to stay down, trying to make her give up. "Ronda, give up, girl, you can't do anything to free yourself," she claimed while applying more force to her lock. Kuroka tried to break the hold she was in until she began to stand up with all her strength while carrying Ronda and applying a Samoan dive to her, causing both of them to fall very tired. "Rias, come on Kuroka, get up," she shouted, trying to get the older Nakomata to get up. Both girls in the middle of the arena began to get up while hitting each other, but then Ronda held Kuroka with a lock and put the older Nakomata in a key again, only with more force. After a while, Kuroka was about to give up until Kaneko attacked her from behind, causing her to let go, but causing the WWE girls but also the Gremry girls to come in to defend their teammates. "Paige, so you think you're very rude, girl," she said angrily. Aquino, era, it seems that the old lady wants to show off to us. Nikki, they are some hits. Rias, so you think you're really bad, right? Thus both groups of girls headed towards each other, starting to hit each other, with AJ being the first to throw a punch, attacking Kaneko with a forearm. Ronada cornered Kuroka against a corner, and began to give her a series of punches and kicks while Nikki and Paige rose to the sky as Aquino and Rias started to exchange magical attacks like dark energy and fire. In the VIP room, you could see all the leaders of the factions as well as the fighters who had already fought. Now they were watching the fight expectantly, but Xerxes and the other supernatural beings were quite surprised that Rias and the rest of his entourage gave a very good fight to the WWE girls. Note: I don't know if you have ever played the WWE Immortals game, but those who have played it will surely understand in that game the evolutions of the wrestlers are divided into 3 classes: bronze, silver and gold, although the gold levels are divided into 2 forms or 2 transformations, and so will be the power levels of the Immortal Wrestlers: Phase Mode High Class Level, Bronze Supreme Class Level, Silver Faction Leader Level, All Leaders, Gold 1 Level of Office and Great Red. Finally, Gold 2 Level of Triax. So well, without further ado, let's continue with the story. In the locker room, John Cena, the wrestler, stared at the screen in front of him with great seriousness, as he could see how the Gremry had used magic enhancers to be at the level of the WWE girls, while Drake was lying on top of a giant cake while eating a cookie. "Drake, do you think those girls can beat those crazy people?" he asked while eating the cookies. "John, I know they will win, and stop swallowing so much, or you will get fat," he said calmly. Only the last thing he did complain about was that the chibi dragon was filling his dressing room with crumbs and wrappers. "Drake, several decades locked in the booster gear, at least let me enjoy these delicacies that I always wanted to try," he said, eating everything that was on the table again. "John, you don't change," he said resignedly, going back to watching the fight. In the battle, Kaneko had thrown herself against AJ, causing them to go through a wall and start rolling until they were at the edge of the battlefield. It was an arena in the sky. Both got up and began to exchange blows until AJ blocked a blow from the albino Nico and began to slap her, making her retreat. "AJ, I don't understand how they were so stupid as to leave such a wonderful man like John, he said while grabbing Kaneko by the arms and headbutting her. Kaneko, shut up, she said, trying to kick him. You don't know anything. I felt alone. Senpai didn't give me the same attention he gave to the others. I just wanted him to pay the same attention to me, she shouted, trying to hit him. AJ, damn stupid, she said angrily, holding her fist, and you think I didn't give it to you? He himself told me that your betrayal was the one that hurt him the most, she said, making Kaneko open her eyes. Of all your friends, he loved you the most, but he never knew how to get closer to you. But I saw that you didn't care. After saying that, she attacked Kaneko, causing them both to fall from the place where the fight was taking place, thus both being eliminated from the fight. While with Randa and Kuroka they were fighting at the other end of the arena, Randa ran towards the older Nico, turning around, causing Kuroka to crash into her back. Randa, you know John is a good guy, he said, lifting her by the hair. I like him, he said, starting to hit her. I don't understand how they could ruin the relationship they had with him. Kuroka, you don't know anything, he shouted, stopping a blow and starting to hit her, making her step back. Kuroka and Randa collided their fists, causing a large current of air. Then they both held hands and began to butt heads until Kuroka tried to kick her in the jaw, but Randa jumped back. Kuroka, I will defeat you and Issei will be by my side again. Randa, well, come and try it, he said, and then launched himself at her. With Paige, she had been sent flying into a tower, while in front of her was Akino with her demon wings spread and blue lightning surrounding her. Akino, Era, you don't have to be smart to know that you shouldn't get up, she said with an arrogant smile. Paige, tell me something, girl, she said, getting up. Was it perhaps smart to abandon the man who truly loved you? She asked sarcastically and angrily. Paige attacked Akino with a dark ray as she tried to cover herself with a magic shield, then headed towards her at great speed and began hitting her with great force, causing loud bangs to be heard. But Akino managed to stop a blow from the fighter and began to retreat, only with her hands wrapped in blue rays. With Randa, she was dodging magic attacks that Kuroka was throwing at her until she headed towards her at high speed to try to kick her. But Kuroka took out 2 pairs of demon wings, impressing everyone as she joined Rias' entourage. Randa took out a cable from her pocket and threw it towards Kuroka, catching her, but the Nico began to fly higher, dragging Randa, who was trying to stay on the ground. With Paige, she had received a blow from Akino, sending her against a wall, but she returned it by sending her against another wall, taking her to the arena where they were fighting before. Paige tried to land another blow on her, but Akino blocked it and landed a hook on her stomach and an elbow on her back. Akino, give up, old lady, he said, grabbing her by the hair. Nothing will stop us from being with my Issei-kun. After saying that, he hit her in the jaw, sending her flying until she crashed into a wall, leaving a trail of debris behind. With Randa, she was still trying to get Kuroka to put her feet on the ground until the older Nico gave a very strong pull, causing Randa to fly towards her and then give her a big blow that sent her to the ground. Randa, Paige answers, he said through a communicator. Paige, yes, here I am. Randa, how about we trade? Paige, it will be a pleasure. With Paige, she was slowly getting up while Akino only had a smile and then headed at high speed against Paige, but she managed to evade her blow and then grabbed her by the leg to then spin and throw her to where Randa was, and then flew against Kuroka, both of them flying out of control, far away from the arena, causing both of them to be disqualified. With Randa, she saw how Akino was going towards her, but she took a great leap, intercepting her in the sky, and then they both fell off the platform, being eliminated. Grafia, Ronda Rousey, AJ Lee, and Paige from Team WWE have been eliminated, as have Kuroka, Akino, and Kaneko. Now only Rias Gremory from Team Gremory and Nikki Bella from Team WWE remain. The aforementioned ones just stared at each other while their auras surrounded them, causing great pressure in the place, and then they flew against each other while giving a great war cry. Chapter 21, Rias Gremory vs. Nikki Bella. Rias and Nikki exchanged punches and kicks until Nikki managed to land a blow to her stomach, causing her to spit out some blood, only for Rias to respond with a kick. Both now held hands as they pushed each other to see who would gain ground in the fight, until they began to punch and kick each other more roughly. Rias, you are not worthy of being by my side, Issei, she said while kicking him. Nikki, and I suppose you think you are, she said, hitting him. Rias, You weren't the one who saved him, you weren't the one who was there for him that day. Nikki, but at least I didn't betray her trust and love by opening my legs to someone else. Rias, shut up, she said, giving a powerful blow causing her to fly while a crimson aura surrounded her. I will not allow someone like you to take it from me ever, she shouted, to then see how that car surrounded her more and more until an armor of the aura of destruction had her covered. Armor destruction, she shouted while preparing a magic attack. Nikki, so you had an AZ up your sleeve, huh? Well, I guess I don't have to hold back anymore, he said, appearing in front of her to give her a knee strike that made her step back. Rias had quickly recovered until Nikki appeared in front of her again to deliver a series of kicks to her face and body. Nikki, you better give up, you have no chance against me, he said, giving a kick that sent her crashing against the ground. Rias began to get up again while her entire armor had several cracks, but she decided to attack again by hitting Nikki in the stomach and then kicking her chin. She was going to proceed to give her a spinning kick until Nikki Bella narrowly dodged it, only to knee her in the stomach, lifting her up and then elbowing her in the back of the neck. Nikki, what glass, don't you see that you don't have a chance against me? She asked, somewhat angry at the Gremry's insistence. Rias, I will not give up until my beloved pawn comes back to me, I claimed to give him a powerful elbow to the chin. Both exchanged punches and kicks, causing everything around them to begin to fall apart due to the heat given off by Nikki Bella or to disintegrate due to the energy of destruction given off by Rias Gremry. While in the VIP room, everyone watched this encounter with total disbelief. Even Xerxes and his family could not believe that Rias had reached such a level. Not even Xerxes, who was the one who could best control the energy of destruction, could reach that level. But then they see how both end up hitting each other in the face, causing them to step back until Rias decided to catch her by throwing some discs of her energy at her, nailing her against the wall, and proceeding to give her a large series of punches and kicks, causing Nikki to spit out a lot of blood. Rias, now do you understand? I asked while slapping her. You will never be worthy of being with my Issei. None of you will be worthy, I said while putting energy of destruction in my hand. Now die. She tried to pierce Nikki's stomach with her hand, but she released great power, making her step back a little and then breaking free and hitting her with the rocks she had in her hands, breaking her armor. Nikki, I'm sorry, girl, but even though you showed great power, you still have a long way to go to reach our level, she said as she prepared to release more power. This is where this match ends. After saying that, she began to raise her power while letting out a loud scream that was heard throughout the underworld. The entire place where she and Rias were began to tremble. While the great increase in Nikki Bella's power could be felt, everyone was extremely shocked to see that increase in power. In the locker room, there was a certain person in soldier clothes meditating until he felt an increase in power, just giving a slight smile while slowly opening his eyes. John, so Nikki is going to use that, he said as he stood up. I'm surprised she decided to use it to put the Gremry in her place. Drake, not that you say it, he said while devouring some chocolate cookies. John, sigh, this glutton will never change, he said, seeing how Drake had his cheeks like a squirrel from putting so many cookies in his mouth. In the fight, Rias was watching how Nikki released even more power while shaking a little until a golden light surrounded the fighter to give a last scream, causing her to expand and then fade away. All the spectators had their vision blurred until they slowly opened their eyes until they were shocked to see the next thing. It was Nikki Bella with a new transformation. His power was enormous, far surpassing the leaders, almost equaling the celestial dragons. Rias trembled from the fear she felt. Nikki, now do you understand? You will never be able to surpass us, since we are trying hard to keep fighting, she said before punching the Gremry in the stomach, knocking her unconscious. Grafia, the match, the winners are Team WWE, she said, amazed by Nikki Bella's increase in power, as she detransformed, revealing that she had some minor injuries while she had a slight smile decorating her face. Chapter 22, WWE vs. Supernatural. The fight between the girls had already ended and now they were preparing everything for the next fight, which was a battle between men where it would be defined who was going to be the best team. It was going to be a tornado battle, meaning that both teams were going to face each other without the need for relief. In other words, it was going to be a war. Now both teams were in the battle zone where they stared at each other. Grafia, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the penultimate fight that we are going to have tonight, and it will be to show which team is the best of both worlds. Her voice rang out throughout the stadium as everyone screamed with excitement. This is going to be a battle, a war, so I recommend that you hold on tight. At that, both teams began to expel their powers while they looked at each other intimidatingly, while the spectators screamed with excitement as well as applauding what was going to happen. Grafia, very well prepared, ready fight while shouting that. Team DXD Serorg, Kiba, Razor, Tannen, Braquiel and Gran Rojo, and Team WWE Roman Reigns, Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels, Edge, Sheamus and Goldberg launched themselves into the attack, beginning to exchange several blows and attacks. Kiba went against Rey Mysterio, Razor against Edge, Braquiel against Shawn Michaels, Tannen against Sheamus, Great Red against Goldberg and Roman Reigns against Serorg. All collided their fists, kicks and magical or energy attacks. The entire battle arena rather looked like a war field. Everything was close on the battlefield. But the fights that did attract attention were those of Goldberg and Great Red as well as that of Roman Reigns against Serorg. In these two fights you could see the great clash of powers that there was between them, although the others were not far behind. With Kiba and Rey Mysterio, the masked man had managed to dodge a slash from the blonde while he tried to at least give him a cut until Rey Mysterio dodged it by doing a quick somersault, and then hitting Kiba that made him back off a bit. But when he felt that he needed a sword, he noticed his rival observing that he had it in his hands. So both proceeded to exchange several stabs, being very close. Although Rey Mysterio had a lot of advantage due to his speed and agility at the time of fighting, not for nothing he was one of the very few who caused many problems to The Undertaker at the time of fighting. With Razor and Edge, the two blondes were fighting barehanded, giving each other good blows. Although Edge was barely affected by Razor's blows, this made him a little angry, thus wrapping his fists in Phoenix Fire, beginning to cause some damage to the blonde rocker. But then they both hit each other at the same time, causing a wave of wind to be created accompanied by some flames, while a smile appeared on both of their faces. With Braquiel and Michaels, the Fallen One tried to hit his rival with the Spear of Light, while the Heartbreaker Cowboy dodged them without any problem, something that really surprised everyone since they knew how powerful Braquiel was, who began to create a Spear of Light, but this one was different since it was made of rays and went to attack Shawn Michaels to start a hand-to-hand combat. But Shawn only limited himself to dodging them until he disarmed him with one of his kicks to his wrist, causing him to drop his weapon to proceed to hit him without giving him the chance to respond. With Tannen and Sheamus, the great Celtic warrior gave the great Dragon King a lot of problems. He tried to attack Sheamus, but his dragon form was of no use against him, since Sheamus was faster, and his size served him very well for this fight since he could sneak away from him and surprise him with various attacks, in addition to using his forest magic to vanish those of the great Dragon King. While with Great Red and Goldberg, they were in a great battle that was literally a huge clash of powers. Both exchanged punches and kicks that made the entire battle place tremble and even the entire underworld. For Goldberg it was as if he was fighting one of his old rivals, and for Great Red it was as if he were reliving his battle against Triaxa himself. Both were quite excited about this fight until they both hit each other in the face, making everything tremble, until they began to exchange many stops and hits while a smile was marked on their faces. "Goldberg, you're not a bad fighter, Lizard," he said as he took a sip of ire. "Big Red, you don't fight badly either, brat." They both took a breath and then launched themselves at each other while giving a great war cry and then colliding their fists, creating a great white glow accompanied by a great current of air. Put the soundtrack below. With Serorg and Roman Reigns, they were very close in their fight. The whole place was a mess. Serorg could be seen with his armor on, which was all cracked and some blood was coming out, and Roman with his battle suit also in a mess while he had blood running down his body, while a smile was reflected on the faces of both. And then they disappeared from everyone's vision and began to exchange punches and kicks while they managed to give each other some blows, beginning to destroy each other's armor and suit. Serorg and Roman Reigns were exchanging good blows until one of them caused their towns to collide, making the whole area shake. El Baal tried to hit Roman in the face, but he managed to dodge the blow and land a super right hook, stunning El Baal and then applying a spear to him, knocking him out, and then proceeding to cover him. "Grafia, 1, 2, 3, it's over," The winners are Team WWE, she said, while those mentioned gathered in the place where Roman was and congratulated him, although they also congratulated Team DXD for the great effort of their force. Chapter 23, Flag Fight Season Finale. Grafia, ladies and gentlemen, we finally arrived at the main event of this evening, where we will also put an end to a rivalry that began with Kokobil's attack, she said, while the audience applauded with great emotion. Now we will begin the last fight of this evening, which will consist of a battle of flags. Note: I decided to change the planned fight for this fight. Grafia, we have decided to make a copy of the city of Tokyo where we hid 2 flags, one representing the shield of the alliance of the factions, she said, while showing a blue flag with a lion. Grafia, and the other flag represents the greatest wrestlers in the world, the fighters of the great wrestling company WWE, he said, showing a white flag with the WWE symbol. Grafia, whoever finds their respective flag first and takes it to the top of Tokyo Tower will be crowned the champion of this great battle, she said, while all the spectators applauded with excitement. At that, a song was heard throughout the place while some supernatural beings raised signs with a white dragon as well as the words Hakuryuku. In that, from the night sky of the exact copy of the city of Tokyo, a white glow appeared while it descended little by little until, being a few meters from the ground, it disappeared, revealing Valet with his balance break as well as his demon wings spread out. Grafia, fighting for the supernatural world, bearer of the dividing divide, the strongest Hakuryuku in all of history, descendant of the original Lucifer, Valet Lucifer, he said, as the aforementioned made a superhero landing, making his fans scream with excitement. But then another song was heard, causing most of the supernatural world to scream with excitement as they held up signs that had a red dragon with letters that said, "You can't see me, never give up. Cenation." Grafia, representing the human world, one of the best wrestlers in the WWE company, formerly known as the most powerful Circuitii of all, the man who never gives up. John Cena, he said, as I mentioned, he came out of the shadows, revealing that he had military clothing in addition to a silver urn that surrounded him as he faced the Hakuryuku, which had a blue aura. Grafia, okay, you know the rules, and without further ado, ready, set, fight. Play the soundtrack all the way up. After saying that, they both tried to punch each other, but in the end they ended up holding hands and starting to struggle, while a crater was created in the ground due to the force they both put in until John kicked him and made him step back. But Valet took it as momentum to throw himself at the fighter, crossing several buildings until Cena managed to stop him by holding him in a hug and then carrying him and slamming him against the ground and then kicking him. Valet responded with another kick at the height of his cheek, causing them both to step back. At that, John took a run at Valet, hitting him with a punch that sent him flying several kilometers until he crashed into a building, causing it to collapse on top of him. John began to run in search of his flag, taking advantage of that since it would give him time while Valet recovered. John ran through the streets of Tokyo looking for the flag until he entered an airport, finding it on a plane. John, now having the flag, began to run towards the Tokyo Tower while he had the flag hanging on his back. When he was already at the bottom of the tower, he began to climb it as fast as he could. When he was almost at the top of the tower, he was going to jump to get there, but in that he was hit by a blue light, revealing that it was Valet who took him to the center, crashing into the ground, forming a large crater. The silver-haired man began to get up, revealing an unconscious John Cena while he had his flag in one of his hands. Valet already had his flag and was ready to go and put it on the top of Tokyo Tower, but just as he began to float, the wrestler grabbed him by the leg and slammed him against the ground, causing the crater to get bigger. "Valet, divide," he shouted, dividing John's power, although the blow he received was still very strong that sent him flying. Valet got up, pushing aside some rubble. Seeing that John was running towards him, the silver-haired man began to shoot him several dragon shots, trying to knock him down, but it was useless. Just when he was a few centimeters away, they both collided their fists, causing a large current of air that broke all the windows in the city. Valet proceeded to hug John, carry him and throw him to the ground and begin to hit him to knock him unconscious until the fighter trying held his fist, returning the blows until he hit him one, breaking his helmet and drawing blood. Valet spread his demon wings and charged Cena, beginning to rise in the air until they collided with a building near the Tokyo Tower, causing them to go through it until John fell into a building under construction, just like the one where many rubble fell on top of him. "Valet, Hayadu," I shouted worriedly, going down to where the fighter fell. The silver-haired man began to remove the rubble until he saw John lying there unconscious. Val just smiled as he breathed a sigh of relief, although that didn't last as the fighter hit him with a blow that lifted him up and made him fall a few meters behind him. "John, never get distracted by a pair, Val," he said as he stood up. The albino only took a piece of rubble and threw it at the fighter, but he hit the rubble, destroying it, and then both went against each other, holding on to their shoulders until John kicked him, making him step back and then jump and hit his shoulders, causing the kick to break and begin to fall until he hit the ground, leaving him unconscious. As his armor faded, the fighter just sighed from tiredness and began to walk while he staggered a little from the tiredness he felt. When he reached the top of the tower, he only proceeded to plant his flag, causing several fireworks to appear while he saluted like a military, and the entire supernatural world applauded for his great victory and his great demonstration of the power he achieved.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.